Welcome back, Truth Seeker. I want to talk about a lot of the headlines today, April 2nd, 2020. But before we get to those, I want to make sure everyone saw this cover from The Economist dated March 26th, 2020. Everything's under control. Big government, liberty, and the virus. And you have a hand like the hand of God holding a leash that's around the collar of a human who's wearing a mask, who's walking his dog that also has a mask on a leash. And this is ultimate mockery from the elites who play God over the masses every single day with their media. And they do it by the numbers, as we know in this community. You have to have a subscription to The Economist to read their article, but just reading the first paragraph, I'd already read enough. And let me just read it to you in case it's not big enough on your screen. In just a few weeks, a virus a 10,000th of a millimeter in diameter has transformed Western democracies. States have shut down businesses and sealed people indoors. They have promised trillions of dollars to keep the economy on life support. If South Korea and Singapore are a guide, medical and electronic privacy are about to be cast aside. It is the most dramatic extension of state power since the Second World War. So, everything that we've been talking about, it's all right there in that paragraph. There can be no doubt that we are heading in the direction of less privacy, less liberty. Again, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, one of the key culprits behind this agenda, Bill Gates' former company, Microsoft, is working on ID 2020 with the Rockefeller Group about a biometric scan that will reveal our medical records. And it hasn't been stated what that biometric scan will be. Will it be a scan of our eye, our fingers? Would it be a mark on our body that gets scanned? A chip under our skin? But no doubt this is the direction we are being moved in. And we've been constantly shifted towards this direction, especially since September 11, 2001, when they put up all the security in the airports and the body scans, which have just increased year after year. That same machine, if you haven't been to the airport lately, you now have to go in a machine, stand with your arms up in the air, like the cops are telling you to freeze. A machine scans around you. And then normally after it scans, they make you go stand on some red tape and they feel your calves or something. They say, oh, the machine said looks like there's something near your calf muscles. Both times I've gone through this machine, they've put me aside and felt up my legs. It's like, come on, man. I'm wearing pants here. But anyway, that same machine, no doubt, in a not too distant future, it's going to be reading that biometric scan. And if you don't have your COVID-19 or coronavirus vaccine or whatever they're coming up with, it's probably going to say, oh, you can't fly. You didn't pass the medical inspection. That is where we're going. And for a lot of people, for people who are sound asleep, they're not going to understand what's the big deal. They're going to think, well, this is our government taking care of us. That big virus outbreak of 2020, man, I was out of work. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't get to see my favorite college basketball team play. Man, I love spring training. I didn't get to go to spring training. Man, I wanted to watch LeBron James. He was having such a great season. This is how the people who are asleep are thinking. They want their sports games. They want the normalcy of their life. That's why they're doing this to us, creating the big inconvenience so that the masses, they'll go right along with the plan. They won't even blink. And for those of us who point out what's actually been done, again, we'll be looked at like we're the enemy. We're the insane, crazy people. While the asleep masses, stand in the grocery lines, stare at magazine covers like this, and not even think twice about it. And we know The Economist is known for putting all sorts of things on their covers, the predictive programming, the cryptic messages. This one's not so cryptic. It's really right in your face. And with regards to it being called The Economist, again, this whole thing is about dollars and cents and, of course, control. And of course, dollars are used to control us as well. Just like media and government and religion, these are all the instruments of control in our world. Everything's under control. Big government, liberty, and the virus. So, that headline, everything's under control, to get to the Gematria component, again, it equals 121. And where have we seen this number before? If you're new here, you might not know about this, but 121 is a number we've been talking about nonstop since January 21st. 121, the date the first case of coronavirus was found outside of mainland China. And of course, it was found in the backyard of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation in Seattle, Washington, where they're now developing the vaccine. And of course, Bill Gates, he's Mr. Vaccine. He's Mr. Universal Vaccine. He put out his documentary November 7, 2019, about how there's a coronavirus outbreak coming, and he's working on the universal vaccine. But again, that was January 21st, 121, shortly after that documentary, shortly after the October 18th, 2019 Event 201 coronavirus outbreak simulation. Again, that happened before there was even a case of coronavirus in the world. October 18th, 2019, the same day the military World Games began in Wuhan. And again, in Gematria, coronavirus outbreaks 121, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation's 121, Johns Hopkins University's 121, World Health Organization's 121. All three of these organizations, Bill and Melinda Gates, Johns Hopkins, World Health Organization, they all co-hosted Event 201. World Health Organization's in Switzerland, where all the big bankers are, who are making a ton of money with all the lending, the trillions in lending worldwide, to sustain economies while things are shut down, while people are out of work. Again, this is all an agenda that should be very obvious to everyone. The virus might very well be real, but no doubt it's been unleashed on us. And even if it is real, extreme measures are being taken. This thing has killed less people than the flu. We don't shut down the world every year to stop the flu outbreak. We just let immune systems take care of it. But anyway, 121, just like how SiriusXM on March 6th made channel 121 the coronavirus channel, and we've talked about 1,000 other 121s. Again, this number's everywhere, and it's right here in the headline, everything's under control. What does 121 really represent? Revelation, the final book of the Bible about accepting the mark of the beast, the mark you must take if you want to participate in the world economy. And that's exactly what ID 2020 is going to be, which is right from this same gang of tyrants. 121 also has a square root of 11. In numerology, 11's the master number, the master plan. The movie Contagion came out in 2011. And if you haven't seen that movie, you really just need to watch the last 3 minutes. The last 3 minutes show you a outbreak out of China that comes from a fruit bat, blah, blah, blah. Just like how the Federal Reserve minted a coin that came out February of 2020 with a fruit bat. Unprecedented. As for the date of this magazine cover, March 26th, 26/3, like 263, that's the 56th prime number. Remember, that's the number coded all over this event. Coronavirus is 56, the Economist is 56, Rockefeller's 56, fruit bats 56, toilet paper's 56, mind control 56. And that's essentially what this covers from our education system, which is nothing but an indoctrination system, or, from Big Brother himself, or the religions they've given us. It's just sick to be awake and look at this, It is just sick. So that was March 26th. And with that said, let's jump into some more headlines. April 2nd, 2020. Man with coronavirus spits in train passenger's face, then drops dead. And then you read the story. Horrifying video shows a coronavirus-stricken man spit in the face of another traveler in Thailand before boarding a train and dropping dead. Anand Saho, 56, tested positive for the virus after he was discovered dead Tuesday on the train from Bangkok to the southern city of Nartha Watts. Probably just mutilated that, but the main thing is that, again, they say he's 56, the number that they keep encoding left and right in nearly every coronavirus story. Again, this morning, April 2nd, one of the top headlines, a 39-year-old died of coronavirus, what his young widow wants you to know. And the man who died, his name is Conrad Buchanan, which equals 56, like coronavirus. Again, like pretty much everything encoded all over this. And let's not forget that Event 201, it was October 18th, 2019, exactly 56 days before the initial reported case of patient 0, which was December 12th, 2020 in Wuhan. And you can look it up. They've changed the date several times since then, but the first recorded case of patient 0 was December 12th, 56 days later, from the coronavirus outbreak simulation done by World Elite on the same day the military World Games began in Wuhan. But this story came out today. Again, they said this man died on March 22nd, 22/3, like 223, novel coronavirus 223. That was the 82nd day of the year, COVID-19, the day a lot of cities went into lockdown, including New York. But again, just all throughout the day, all throughout every day, 56 stories left and right. Again, an ER doctor, Frank Grabrin, dies from coronavirus. They say he was a doctor on the front lines. He caught the virus, died a week later. His name 56, like coronavirus. You run his name in reverse, it's also 70, like coronavirus. Again, like Kobe Bryant, who's buried in Corona del Mar. And Corona del Mar is 56 and 70, just like coronavirus. Same numbers everywhere. Again, just to be super redundant, to help pound home the point, Andrew Cuomo's been the biggest face in this coronavirus outbreak in the U.S. He's the 56th governor of New York. A couple days ago, his brother, the news anchor on CNN, Chris Cuomo, supposedly came down with the coronavirus. More 56. Now here's a story. This is from April Fool's Day. Coronavirus test kits meant for the UK found to be contaminated with COVID-19. Again, this is mainstream news right here. This was reported by Fox. Coronavirus test kits that were to be sent to the United Kingdom were found to be contaminated with COVID-19, the Telegraph reports. Well, it was reported by Fox and also the Telegraph. This comes at a time when the UK is ramping up efforts to boost testing in the country. The country has reached out to private companies to help make tests. Luxembourg-based manufacturer Eurofins told UK officials that deliveries would be delayed because core parts were contaminated with the virus. And I gotta be honest, I didn't really decode anything else in this story. I just saw that this came on April Fool's Day, and it made me think, you know, is this just a big joke, a mockery, or is this a potential way that they are spreading the virus? You know, you've seen the headlines, right? The other week it was Gavin Newsom. Let me pull that one up just in case you forgot. In case you think this 56 thing's a joke. Again, the other week it was Gavin Newsom. And, hold on, it's the wrong post. Where's it at? I'll just do it this way. Gavin Newsom, 56%. He said... His quote was he was locking down California because 50 will have coronavirus in 56 days is essentially what he told his state when he put him in lockdown. And you can go back and watch that video we did on it. Whatever night it was, March 18th, 19th, it was right around there. There was more to it as well. But again, they're projecting these big numbers. You know, that's over half of one of the most populated places in the world, California State. And you got to ask, I mean, to project those kind of numbers, how can they be so sure about the spread? Because at the time he made that remark, it was just days after only, you know, there was only a small amount of cases in the U.S. What was it? It was March 17th. No, it was March 7th. I take it back. So it was 11 days before that we had our 19th death. And there was like 1,000 cases in the nation. And then, you know, places started to go into lockdown. So now people are staying home. But now the numbers are just getting exponential. I mean, what's going on in the world? They're asking people to go out and get tested. Is this the way they're going to spread the virus? You go out and get one of these test kits, and that's how you get contaminated? I mean, I wouldn't put it past the world elite. Again, these are the same people that gave us the Georgia Guidestones placed there March 22nd, 1980, that talk about bringing the world's population down by 90%. So, is it a joke, or are they telling us what's going on here? This is from April Fool's Day. Look at the gematria of test kits, April Fools, and conspiracy. Overlap in 2 of the 4 base ciphers. The alphabetic order, the most simple cipher, and the reverse alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. Test kits, April Fools, conspiracy, all the same. And don't forget, April Fools and conspiracy are the exact same in all 4 ciphers. That's why yesterday CNN ran this story about QAnon. 76% of Americans have never heard of QAnon. And again, QAnon's conspiracy related, so they put out this story on April Fools. Again, all 4 base ciphers, April Fools and conspiracy, the exact same. And, of course, Q is a psyop. I've been exposing this since it came on the scene. Again, it went viral right away. First sign it was a psyop. The second sign it was a psyop is it was telling people to believe in government and invest in government, which is exactly what the machine tells you. Q is very clearly controlled opposition. If you're awake, you know that government's not the answer. You know that politicians are puppets on strings. You know there's no way into the Oval Office unless you're part of the cabal. But Q would have you believe otherwise by, sending you on all sorts of wild goose chases that end up in nothing, burying the truth in bullshit. And, people don't recognize why it's called Q. Symbol of the Masons. The same people who control the federal government, the same people who control the psyop that is Q, the same people that control puppet Donald Trump, the proud Kabbalist. So anyway, just wanted to point out that this story was in the headlines yesterday. If you take the time to watch the video they put out, it's clear the video's from 2 years ago. So they show these interviews of Q people, the things from over 2 years ago. So they were saving that story for this time. And of course, Q right now is trying to dupe people into believing that this whole thing is really a good thing. They're bringing down the world economy as a cover, as a smokescreen, so that they can charge Tom Hanks with pedophilia. As if that makes sense. I mean, but that's what Q is. And that's why you got to feel bad for these people that follow Q. They're probably the dumbest people alive on the planet right now. And I'm not mincing words. I'm just stating facts. You probably got to be one of the dumbest people alive to fall for Q. But anyway, you even look at the story. I wonder if they made up the names for these people they interviewed. Like, is this kid's name really Timothy Rasmussen? They probably interviewed, hundreds of people and then maybe they chose the 2 for the reasons they did. The 2 that they show in the video are named Timothy Rasmussen and Josephine Datar, which both equal 68, like CIA. He's talking about how the media is run by the CIA, and this guy, the anchor, saying, I don't know anybody in the CIA. I'm not CIA. But anyway, if you've read my book, you know about 1968 and the year conspiracy, or the term conspiracy theory and what was done with it that year. But I found it funny that they used 2 people's names that both have that 68 gematria, and then the woman's name in reverse is also 76, just like how the article says that 76% of Americans don't know what QAnon is. And realize the whole thing is about how Q is this conspiracy group that thinks Donald Trump's fighting the deep state and New World Order. And again, you got to be retarded to think that. Donald Trump is the New World Order. He's owned by the New World Order. They've saved his ass. They've made him famous. They've put him in game shows, reality shows, WWE events. It's just a joke to think Trump is anything else. But Donald John Trump is 76. Donald John Trump is also 68. That's why they ran with these numbers. Because these people are big Trump supporters. They're big conspiracy theorists. And I don't like that term conspiracy theorist, but that's what Q is. They promote really dumb conspiracy theories that are all bullshit. And it's very easy to see through Q when you know the Q. Code. QAnon equals Masonic. Q equals 17 like Mason, like the year modern Freemasonry began, 1717. Anyway, that's enough about Q. Hardly worth the breath. How about this headline? 93 sailors aboard the USS Theodore Roosevelt test positive for coronavirus. I wonder where they got that number from. 93 sailors? Sailors equals 93, like Wuhan coronavirus, like propaganda. They're on the Teddy Roosevelt. I always like to remind people of one of Teddy Roosevelt's most famous quotes that you won't find in U.S. history books. You know, whenever you hear about that big, bad, racist man, Adolf Hitler, who wanted an all-white race, realize that's all bullshit. But Teddy Roosevelt, he once said, we need to secure Hawaii for the benefit of the white race. You know? Oh, man. He said the Asians would take over the world if we didn't take Hawaii. Think about Pearl Harbor blamed on Asians in Hawaii. Anyway, Theodore Roosevelt, 86, like coronavirus outbreak, 86. That's what ship this was on. The spokesperson for the Navy, his name is Thomas Maudley. Name that equals 46, like Navy, like virus. So, again, it's just all made up crap. Gematria, you can look at every single headline that's out there. In 5 seconds, you can see through it. 93 sailors. Oh, okay. Like, we haven't been talking about that number a lot. And just because I continue to forget to bring this up, but don't forget about this 1993 cartoon from The Simpsons, Marge in Chains. No doubt a reference to the band Alice in Chains out of Seattle, Washington, like Bill and Melinda Gates. But this cartoon, Marge in Chains, about a viral outbreak, it came out in 93 on the date May 6th. 5-6, coronavirus 56, Wuhan coronavirus 93. The episode name Marge in Chains 121, like coronavirus outbreak, like Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation 121. Don't forget the writer of The Simpsons is from the Seattle area. He went to Evergreen College, a half hour south of the city. And, again, it's not like he's a psychic. It's that he's been given the script and he's been told to encode his cartoons with these future plans. And if you've seen this cartoon, the virus spreads when a guy coughs into a package. What big package company's headquartered in Seattle? Amazon? Probably the biggest beneficiary in the world in terms of a business from this whole outbreak, because now even more people are doing online shopping, more than ever. And who's the company that nearly has the monopoly on the online market? Amazon. My dad just made his first ever online purchase in his life. I wonder how many people like my dad are doing that for the first time because of what's going on right now. Amazon might one day be the one company. And realize, I don't think Amazon was ever a private company. A lot of these supposed private tech companies are nothing but the federal government. Again, Amazon, the majority of their money, it doesn't come from sales from their online store. It comes from government contracts for the databases they hold, for the technology they build for Big Brother. Amazon, for the last decade, has been working on the most advanced facial recognition technology in the world, which is now going into play, just like how CNN gave us the story the other weekend about facial recognition technology being used to stop people on the streets from breaking the social distancing protocols. That article said it's going on in Russia. It'll be going on here before long. It'll be going on worldwide before long. And that's why these tech companies like to hire people from outside of America too, because they build all this technology and surveillance stuff that goes against the American people. So if you're, in a foreign nation on a work visa helping build up the security state that, is a weapon against the people of the nation you work in but aren't a part of, you're more willing to comply in that. And realize a lot of these young Indians and Asians and Russians who are doing it, they realize it's wrong. That's why I wish I could go back and have like a secret recorder when I was driving for Uber and Lyft in Seattle. I had so many conversations like this with their employees. They all know it's wrong to be building technology like this. They realize what they're doing, but they're being paid $300,000 a year, $500,000 a year. They're in their early 20s. They're not realizing, well, they are actually realizing probably that there's something wrong with their greed and maybe there'll be some big consequences down the road. We're already seeing it here in 2020. But yeah, check out this cartoon if you haven't seen it. It starts by coughing into a package. Marge in Chains, Seattle band, Amazon, Seattle company, May 6th. And don't forget that Google gave us that date, May 6th, 2020 at the beginning of the year. They said that'd be the start date of World War III. I'm almost wondering if World War III is the war on germs. They're already accomplishing everything they do with the war, right? They're killing the elderly. This could be a virus that's meant to wipe out the Social Security age group. That would solve a big government problem. All these, Social Security burdens. But they got people on lockdown. They got people not living their lives. Lives are interrupted. This is just like wartime. It's what happens when a war happens. That's why that Economist article said this is, the biggest disruption to the Western world since World War II. And don't forget that World War equals 102. When did World War I end? 1918, 102 years ago. And this is how these people operate. If you've read my book, I show you how all the world wars started and ended by the numbers. Civil War, Revolutionary War, all the wars in modern history have been done by this code. The cabal, been operating by the numbers for centuries. Okay, now for some reason, everybody's always asking me, Zach, can you cover this story about Tekashi 69? I can't figure out what it is with the truth community and caring about this guy so much. We're talking about the most irrelevant of the irrelevant. This is a musician with shit music. Just garbage. I don't know why so many of you guys care about him, but today he became part of the coronavirus thing. And today he was released early from prison. He was just put in prison, at the end of last year, supposedly, for 2 years, and he's out like 3 months later, 4 months later. I mean, what a joke. This whole thing was a soap opera, probably set up just for this. But anyway, you see how they emphasize high risk? So, high risk equals 89 and 46, right? Today, the day this happens, is a date with 46 numerology. 89 is the 24th prime number. The majority of the world writes today's date 2/4 like 24. So 89, the 24th prime. Perfect day for a headline like this. He's released from prison because he was a high-risk subject due to the coronavirus outbreak because he has asthma. But anyway, virus is also 89 and 46. The word prison in the most pure cipher is 37. Yesterday, when they said this could happen today, it was 37 weeks from his birthday. If you use the rule with S, which is the 19th letter, which can be with 1 or 10, prison's also 46. So I figure in this case it fits in. But, yeah, again, learn Gematria, you just see. It's all a big old puppet show. And one other thing I want to get into today, which we covered briefly this morning, it's April 2nd, 4/2. We talked about how CNN's feature story was the death of a black man on 4/2 day. If you haven't read my book, Letters and Numbers, again, you can get it in the description. You can get it in the top pinned post. You can go to my website, GematriaEffectNews. In the right corner, the links for the book. But the 18th chapter of my book is about how headlines, racially charged headlines, murder rituals of black people, always around the number 42. So on 4/2, you get the story of a black man dead from coronavirus. We covered his name earlier. His name equals 56. Again, he's Conrad Buchanan. 56. And in light of him being 39, there's another racial thing right there because, Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, both dead at age 39. The true people of the Old Testament, 39 books. They got hair of wool. They got dark skin. But anyway, story of a black man, and then you got Cardi B in the headlines today, black woman. She comes out and says she feels sick, but then they say it's not coronavirus, but they have to come out and say, the black woman, she's front and center today in the news on 4/2 because she's sick. Sick 42 like 4/2. Again, the list of 42 in black history is long. The name Jackie's 42, Jackie Robinson associated with the number 42. The word Tuskegee's 42, think about that. Medical experimentation targeted at black men. The word slavery's 42, February's 42, Black History Month. The N-word's 42, the term brothers is 42, the word bus is 42. Martin's 42, and the sitcom Martin, he lives in apartment number 42. Malcolm X is 42, Muhammad Ali's 42, LeBron James is 42, and a million more. The first black baseball player in white major league was Moses Walker. His name equals 42. He played in 42 games. And shout out to the people who tipped me off to these local headlines today. There's probably headlines like this all over the nation today. This is out of Michigan, the state where they targeted black Americans in Flint with the water crisis, which was not an accident. It was entirely on purpose. Someday I will be speaking in Flint about this, educating the people there. But this is out of Michigan. Black people make up 12% of Michigan's population and at least 40% of its coronavirus deaths. Again, remember in the Event 201 simulation, they say at the 6-month mark, this really begins to impact poor communities, which because of this world we live in, which purposely targets and destroys people who are black, they tend to live in poor communities more often. But again, that's my biggest concern about this, is what they say in Event 201, how poor communities really begin to get hit around the 6-month mark. And remember yesterday, headline out of India, the 56-year-old that died in the slum of India, the first death in the slum, a 56-year-old. Places like that, those are the places I'd be worried about. But you got this headline, and then shout out to Charmaine. Charmaine just took a picture of her newspaper today. This is the front of the Philadelphia newspaper today. More blacks testing positive for virus here, officials say. So thank you, Charmaine, for sending me that. And I imagine there's stuff like this all over today in local news, if you look for it. Because this is what they always do with the 42 dates, as I've documented and documented and documented. It just never ends. But this is how you can just see how news is contrived by a very specific code of letters and numbers. And I always get confused at the people who leave the same old comments. What's the point of knowing this? I can only assume these people are like a character from the Wizard of Oz. Which is the one that doesn't have a brain? Is it the Scarecrow? Must have a lot of scarecrows commenting. The point of knowing this is to see through the agenda, how information is contrived, how we're steered. You know, like this. This is the point of knowing this information. To realize how the hand works. To cut your collar. By the way, it's probably not an accident that they have a dog in there. Dog, God, you know, God, man, dog. Of course, God has that Gematria 26-like virus. Playing God with the virus. But yeah, I mean, this stuff's just so sick, you guys. And it's too bad everyone in Philadelphia and everyone in Detroit doesn't know Gematria, because they know what's up on 4-2 with headlines like this. And they should already know anyway. I mean, everybody knows about Jackie Robinson in 42. And speaking of black folks in 42, remember when Elvis used to be criticized way back in the day before most of us were alive? For those of you who don't know, Elvis was criticized for making black music. Elvis, you know, he used to take that black sound and make it his own. If you weren't aware of that, Elvis's music was considered black music, and he used to dance like a black man. That's why they had to have the camera up above his waist, because they didn't want him shaking his knees like those black folks. That is just so inappropriate to shake your knees when you dance. But anyway, Elvis. Again, we talked about this earlier. I went back and looked at it even more. From his birthday, January 8th, 1935, to his vaccination. And by the way, you guys, I read an article about this. I'm going to do some more verification that it's true. They said before Elvis took the polio vaccine on live television, primetime television, less than 1% of the American population had gone out for the polio vaccine. But they're saying that after Elvis did it, after he went out and got the polio vaccine on live television, over 80% of Americans got it shortly after. And remember, the vaccine came out in 53. Elvis got it in 1956. So it had been out for over 3 years. They couldn't get Americans to take the vaccine, though, but then they did when Elvis did it. So anyway, from Elvis's birthday to the day that he got this vaccine on live television, and oh, by the way, Elvis also helped a lot of people sign up for the war effort, but from his birthday to getting the vaccine was exactly 42 weeks on the nose, right? 42. That number coded all over black history. Elvis associated with black music. By the way, the other number stamped on black history is 59, like how Black History Month ends on the 59th day of the year, like how Motown came out in 59, like how Negro, Slave, Blues, Rasta all equal 59. The name Eminem equals 59. Think about that. But anyway, from Elvis's birthday to his vaccine, 42 weeks on the nose, vaccines 42. Notice the day he got it, October 28th. Is Bill Gates' birthday, Mr. Vaccine, the man who says he wants to depopulate the world with vaccines. We'll watch Bill Gates' TED Talk from 2010 here in a moment. But 42 weeks, Washington State, the 42nd state where Bill Gates is. This was on Bill Gates' very first birthday. Bill Gates was born October 28th, 1955. And again, here's Washington, the 42nd state. For you football fans, go back and look at when the Seahawks beat the 49ers on Monday Night Football this year. It was November 11th. It was Washington's 130th birthday. Pete Carroll got his 130th win on Washington's 130th birthday, and Washington equals 130. If you run the alphabetic order in reverse, Washington equals 140, and Pete Carroll got his 140th win if you count his playoff wins. Just to remind you how scripted things are. And remember, Freemasonry credited with American football. Freemasonry based in Kabbalah, where this code of letters and numbers comes from. By the way, don't forget this thing about Bill Gates, the man who operates up in Seattle. He did this staged photo December 13th, 1977, arrested in New Mexico, smiling. They say they don't remember what he was arrested for. Happened to be a date with 121 numerology, just makes you wonder. But it was 46 days after his birthday when he did that. Microsoft 46. It was also his 47th day of his age, like how Seattle's on the 47th parallel, like how New Mexico's the 47th state, like the 47 degrees on the Masonic compass, like how he's married to Melinda Gates, 47. Bill Gates, Masonry, Federal Order, Secrecy, all 33. He was the CEO of Microsoft for 33 years. This was in Albuquerque, 58, like Freemasonry, like Rosicrucian, like Solomon's Temple, like Secret Society. But New Mexico's also 42, like Freemason. And again, he operates in Washington, the 42nd state. And I'll remind people, UFO equals 42. The Roswell incident was in New Mexico in the year 47. The first ever official UFO sighting was by Mount Rainier in Seattle. Rainier equals 47. So there's a relationship in numbers between Seattle and New Mexico, and I've talked about this in the past with UFOs and UFO sightings and all the early history of UFOs. It's interesting that they did this with Bill Gates, you know, who's a straight up Ashkenazi. But anyway, all these 42s, right? And again, 42 weeks after Elvis's birthday, on Bill Gates' first birthday, who's now become Mr. Vaccine. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation's right across the street from the Space Needle, Big Needle, vaccines. Seattle's in King County. Coronavirus, corona means crown. They called Elvis the king of rock and roll. Don't forget, just a couple years ago, Aretha Franklin, the queen of soul, died on the same day Elvis the king died, August 16th. And of course, Elvis died at age 42. And again, we've been talking about Tom Hanks and his diagnosis by the numbers and how he was in Sleepless in Seattle, and Larry Crown, where his nickname's Lance Corona. They said when he got coronavirus, he was filming a movie about Elvis. Just see how it all comes together? And don't forget, Tom Hanks is in the movie Inferno, which also came out on Bill Gates' birthday. And Inferno's about a billionaire who wants to depopulate the world with a virus. And Bill Gates openly talks about how we need to reduce the world's population by 15% in a TED Talk. And he says we can do it with vaccines. And then he co-hosts Event 201 October 18, 2019. And then November 7, 2019, he comes out with a documentary on Netflix, The Next Pandemic, about a coming coronavirus and how he's working on the universal vaccine. Again, you guys, pretty sure that whatever the solution is, whatever the vaccine that's coming out of this, it's going to be, you know, cancer causing. It's going to cause the loss of life. And probably it's been calculated. It's probably going to target right around 15%, if not more. So for all of us who end up getting that ejection, realize it's going to be a roll of the dice. Probably going to shave years off all of our lives. And this sick puppy, he just went on CNN March 26th, the same day as this Economist cover, and laughed it up when Sanjay Gupta asked if we're learning anything for the next pandemic. Again, the name of his documentary. Bill Gates just starts laughing, cackling. It's so funny. Okay. For a couple other stories, the Stacy's Mom's Got It Going On singer, he's dead at 52. Notice how they emphasize Stacy's mom? Stacy's mom, 52. Remember, that's a number associated with death, Kabbalah, Gematria, government, authority. Special number there, 52. So Stacy's mom, 52, dead at 52. And this is what we always see, right, with murder by numbers. They'll always be emphasizing headlines that connect to their age of death, what they're remembered for in their career. And his name, Adam Schlesinger, Gematria of 66, like Corona. I saw in the headlines today, 6.6 million people filed for unemployment. Last week it was 3.3 million. This week it's 6.6 million. His name's got the 66. His full name, Adam Lyon Schlesinger, is 317, which is the 66th prime, so he's got a double connection to that number. Probably why he was chosen for this coronavirus ritual. They're saying he's dead from coronavirus. His name is also 223, like novel coronavirus. He was in Fountains of Wayne, that was the name of the band. 73, like sacrifice. From his birthday, Halloween, to his death, April Fool's Day, was his 154th day of his age. Ritual sacrifice, 154 and 73. It was also 5 months and 2 days from his birthday, like being dead at 52. It's also 22 weeks. Wuhan's 22. He's born on Halloween. Halloween equals 41. 10/31, 10 plus 31, 41. Dead on 4/1 April Fools. So that was one music-related death in the headlines the last couple days. Another was the writer of the song I Love Rock and Roll, Alan Merrill, dead from coronavirus. And knows I Love Rock and Roll, 73, like sacrifice. He died March 29th, the date written 29/3, like 293, the 62nd prime. Sacrifice also 62. There were a lot of deaths. If you missed my work on Sunday, a lot of people who died and were diagnosed with coronavirus. 62, 62, 62. We covered that. I wasn't even aware of this headline at the time. That's because it came out after. But he just fit into the theme we already identified for that day. And his name, Alan Merrill, also 52, just like the other musician. He died on a date with 52 numerology. He was in the band The Arrows. The Arrows, 46, like virus. He was a New York musician, born in New York, dead in New York. He died 39 days after his birthday. As you know, New York's 39, Empire's 39, NY's 39, NYC's 39, the date of establishment for New York. Date with 39 numerology. Again, these are murder by numbers, and they're killing these people just like they always do, and then they're reporting they died from coronavirus. That's how sick it is. And you can just see, the people that do this, it's like they have no soul. Bill Gates laughing on CNN about the pandemic, like it's so funny. I knew my whole life that Bill Gates was a stooge. I've just known it since I was a kid. And even when I was a kid, I can't remember how old I was the first time I saw Bill Gates talk. I was probably like 10 or 11. Back when we were all learning that he was the richest man in the world. I just remember hearing him talk one time. I was like, he's not that impressive. Wasn't even that old. I was like, there's nothing impressive about that guy. Mr. Moody, my 5th grade teacher, is way smarter than he is. I knew it as a kid. Bill Gates, nothing but a goon. Again, remember his daddy was into eugenics. We have to look into his dad some more. But here, let's pull up here Bill Gates. Bill Gates TED Talk 2010. I think this, hold on. It was from 2010, wasn't it? It's right around that time. Bill Gates, TED Talk. Let's see, vaccines. Unless Google's making it so it doesn't pop up anymore. This is not the same one from years ago. He might talk about the same things here, but there's one from 2010 where he talks about the formula for reducing the population by 15%. Hold on, let me check and see if this is it real quick. Oh, we gotta get a commercial from old Neil deGrasse Tyson. Another guy full of shit. All right, let me see. This is it right here. This is it, because I can see he's got his formula up here. He's talking about how we got to reduce the world's population. Pretty sure this is the right one. All right, here, let's just listen to a little bit. I think it's just right up here in this broadcast. Again, this is from February 2010. Make sure we got our volume up. Okay, here we go.
Flattened it at all. So we have to go from rapidly rising to falling and falling all the way to zero. This equation has 4 factors, a little bit of multiplication. So you've got a thing on the left, CO2, that you want to get to zero. And that's going to be based on the number of people, the services each person's using on average, the energy on average for each service, and the CO2 being put out per unit of energy. So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero. That's back from high school algebra, but let's take a look. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
I mean, just listen to that right there. So there it is. If we do a really great job with vaccines, healthcare, reproductive services, if that's what his dad was into. His dad is one of the key people behind Planned Parenthood. But the first thing he leads off with is vaccines, and he said it a number of times. He's also joking about how we're going to have to get one of these things to zero, maybe even the people. That's what the Georgia Guidestones pretty much say. Limit the Earth's population to 500 million. Again, if it's true that we're over 7 billion, that means more than 13 out of 14 people would have to die. And don't forget, Georgia, where those are, is where the Center for Disease Control is. And the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, that name equals 201, like Event 201, which he co-hosted. So we'll do something here, Truth Seeker. Let me grab the phone, and I will take calls. Let me go grab the phone. That number to call in is 509-731-0567. 1 second. Okay, still waiting for the first call. Make sure we're still live. I'm surprised. Unless I got this on airplane mode. That could be the problem. Let me check. No? All right. Maybe, do we have anybody watching? Maybe nobody's watching. That would be something. Well, I see we got a small turnout. That probably means 0 people are getting notifications. But, yeah, if we don't have any callers tonight, oh, we do have a caller. Here we go. What's up, caller?
Hey, what's up, big fat?
What's up, man?
Hold on. Let me turn my TV off. What's up, big dog?
What's up, man?
Hey, man, bro, what kind of vitamins do you take, bro? Because I'm trying to keep up with you, bro, and it's like, damn, where this dude gets all his energy from? What kind of vitamins you take?
Well, my mom might be listening. She'd be mad, but I don't really take many vitamins. My mom always sends me this Vita Lee, which is a multivitamin from this brand Shackley, but I honestly don't take it very much. It's mostly just how I eat, man. I just eat real clean and healthy, and
yeah, I've been listening to what everything you say, how you eat. That's cool, bro. That's cool. Hey, man, bro. Yeah, man. Hey, I love you, bro. And you just spoke to I guess last night to Bruco. That was real nice, bro. That was real nice. Now I've been listening to I've been listening to him. He lives in Poland, right?
Right.
And me and you, we live in it's the West Coast, in the West Coast of America, of the Americas, and we've grown a thick skin, right?
Right.
Yeah, especially with all the stuff that, like, I'm not gonna read it anymore, but all the stuff all the comments that, man, there's some evil people out there, bro, trying to destroy. I mean, just destroy people with good people, just trying to destroy good people, and it's amazing, bro, because I've only been listening to you for like a few months. I'm on your Patreon and everything. That's all good, but But it's just amazing. You know what, bro? I thought I had I live in California. I live in the border of Los Angeles and Orange County, and you know, I thought I had thick skin because of all the stuff that I have to deal with out here, you know, with people and stuff. But the hello?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Yeah, but the stuff I guess that the stuff that you have to deal with, bro, it's like, damn, bro, it's like on three levels up, bro. It's like man, it's like.
Well, I mean, yeah, when you post stuff online, you got to have thick skin because there's always trolls and haters and just people that just want to say something mean because they're hiding. And that's what you should realize. You realize these people writing these comments, they wouldn't say this stuff to your face, you know. They're just exposing that they're cowards, you know.
Yeah.
Talking mess from behind the safety of their computer screen. So.
Yeah, absolutely. But just yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. But just it's like, damn, bro. I mean, like people are like people are evil, bro. Like super evil, bro. It's like,
well, we're living in an evil world, man. We're living in an evil world, and people are getting programmed by these evil people that rule over us. And
super evil, bro.
You know, just this isn't exactly related to what you're saying, but I just realized that the mistake I'm disappointed with myself in recent days because I realized that I should have been pounding the pavement years ago, and because I'm just so disappointed that we're this far down the road and this is happening right now because I always knew this was going to come. I was just hoping it wouldn't be quite so soon. And I just realized like how many people are still just dead asleep and they still have thought process like this. It's like, wait, did you get that information off YouTube? Because YouTube, that's just YouTube. It's just and these people, it's like they're the people that need to be reached the most. They think the only thing that's real is what's on the nightly news. That's why we have to be out in the street finding these people, putting this information in front of their eyeballs. And it's just funny. Now we're in this period where it's like hard to do that. Like, I mean, I could probably go do that, but it might end up with the handcuffs right now because they'll be like, oh, it doesn't look like you're going to work or exercising, so you're violating the rule. And we just made a new law that, you know, if you're not following the social distancing orders and the stay at home, stay healthy, well, that comes with a fine and jail sentence now. But it's just like, yeah, man, I'm not worried about the trolls. It's just like, I'm worried about all these people that are just so sound asleep and just like, just thinking just such, it's just so, how can you possibly think like that? Oh, if something's on YouTube, it doesn't mean it's worth anything. It's like, how? It's a place to put out information. You have to listen with your ears and your mind to see if it's worth something. You can't just throw something out because the mainstream news, you know, constantly ridicules information on the internet while they're the biggest liars and falsifiers of information in the world, so.
Absolutely, but Zach, you need not to forget that there is thousands, if not millions, of people that do not know what you're talking about. I mean, they haven't reached you. You know, they just haven't reached you, so they don't know. They don't know.
I know. That's why we got to go out and get them, man, and we got to do it right now. I mean,
yeah. Hey, Zach, and like I was that guy Bruno. I feel bad for that dude because he sounds. He it's like you guys remind me of you both of you, not you, but mostly him. Reminds me of me when I was in my younger year. I'm 43, bro. It reminds me of me because you know I was not to say that I wasn't stupid, but I didn't know that. Man, I didn't know that evil was that big, bro. Like, it's like, damn, bro. It's like, these motherfuckers are like super evil, bro. Damn, bro. And one thing is, like, Bruno, like, he you've heard his voice, right?
Right.
He sounds like a nice guy, like a clean guy, like a clean soul. And I just feel bad for him because, and I sent him a message. I say, bro, brother, you sound like you're gonna have to grow some thick skin, bro, because yeah, I got my feelings hurt a lot throughout my life, and this kid this kid sounds like he's gonna get his feelings hurt. I just feel bad about that, bro. That that people get their feelings hurt, and you know what I'm saying.
I do, man, and he is a really nice person. He has a video showing his apartment. You can find his video on his channel. It's like, I want to say it's like around 20 minutes long, but he just shows all the stuff he has in there, all the books, and how organized he is, and how he puts notes, and every day he writes a new message, a new piece of information, like in a Sharpie pen on his wall. So he's not really going for style points, but he's going for like knowledge and organization. But in that video, he shows that, man, he even feeds the rats. And, I mean, I've never seen anybody, I know people feed the birds and the squirrels, but this dude feeds the rats, man. And, yeah, he's like he truly is a loving all things person. And,
exactly, bro, exactly. He's a loving person, and he's gonna get his feelings hurt. And I send him a message saying, brother, you're a good person. You remind me of me when I was younger. Like I said, I'm 43 years old, and you're gonna get your feelings hurt. Just and I hope just people are gonna attack you, bro. People are gonna attack you like they attack you, bro. The other day I was on your Patreon. I was just checking out the Patreon, and man, like these people writing all this hate on your Patreon. I was like, damn.
Well, that there's a team of people that there's like 10 of them, and if I get rid of them, they just come back in a new account 5 seconds later. Because that's what's dumb about Patreon. You get a refund if you get blocked. It's like, that's a dumb rule, Patreon. If you're blocking somebody on somebody's Patreon page, you probably shouldn't give them a refund, because now you're giving them a reason to come right back and troll some more. So anyway, there's like 10 that live on there full time and just talk shit all day, and I have no doubt about, that they're Ashkenazis, 100% guaranteed, but,
Hey, and you know what, bro? Also, I wanted to say to you, because, I listen to you all the time, bro, every day. And, these people that say, like, I heard some dude say, I left California. Yeah, I'm out of California. Hey, brother, I'm in California, I'm gonna, California's my home, bro, California is my home, so, so for people, like, try to, it's like for the people that are listening out there, I respect everybody. Respect goes a long way, bro. Like my mom always told me, if there is no respect, there is nothing. So, like, I respect everybody that, from wherever you are, I respect you. But, like, people are saying out there, oh, yeah, I left California, like California's, like a bad place. It's like, bro, it's too expensive, this and that. I said, bro, I live in California, yeah, we pay $5, well, not now, but $5 a gallon of gas here. But, just respect, where everybody lives. And, I love California. California's my home. And if you left California for whatever reason, don't put it down. It's like, you left for your own reasons. If you left, that's because, you made that decision. I don't know what your circumstances is, but I'm in California. I live here. I'm happy. And just for the listeners out there, just respect what.
Well, that's just the word we need more of, man. There just needs to be more respect for people, and more caring for people, because there's not enough of that in the world. And I mean, you look at the chat right now. Case in point, man. Bunch of haters. But friend, I really appreciate your call and your message, man, and thank you for supporting. I'm gonna let some of these other people get in, because a lot of people are calling. So you have a good night, man.
You too, brother.
Take care. What's up, caller?
Hey, Zach. Wow, some of these calls, man. We want information, and the personal stuff is great, but please, I'd love you to keep them going. So here we go. I posted something today about the I don't like going the 5G route, but did you know Trump? Did you cover this? He signed 2 bills into law regarding 5G.
I know he signed one maybe a week or 10 days ago. Yeah, I mean, but that's gonna just okay. I totally hear all the 5G stuff, but I mean,
no, I don't like going there. I'm saying that in the 5G language, they're now mentioning the coronavirus. They're saying because the coronavirus outbreak, our technology is going to help everyone work from home.
Sure. I mean, that's all part of it. I agree that that's all. This whole thing has to do with technology and surveillance. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And in light of the fact that they're coding 56 all over this thing, doesn't a 6 kind of look like a G?
Yes, exactly. And one last thing, Zach, because I want to spread the word, but I have to tell you, and I think a lot of us are, I'm afraid that we're going to get killed.
Well,
you know what I mean?
listen, let me just stop you right there, man. Okay, that's a reasonable thought. And that's what my sweet lady worries about all the time. And honestly, if I didn't have a sweet lady right now, I'd probably be out driving all around the country, probably getting arrested left and right for speaking out. But we got to stop thinking like that, man, because I'll tell you what, we're all going to get killed if we don't do something about this. And there'll be no future for the kids.
How does this work if we don't get the test or the chip? We're not going to be able to leave and communicate with other people.
That's why we have to get organized and mobilized now so that enough of us can go against this chip thing and make sure it doesn't happen.
No, but they shut down the freedom of assembly. It's so crazy.
But it won't matter. If let's say I'm one of these channels, these Q channels that has nearly 1 million subscribers, that every video gets 500,000 views. Let's say I'm one of these channels, and I say, you know what? Today we're all showing up in the nation's capital. We're all going to get there. We're going to drive there. We're going to get there however we have to. If all of us show up, they can't do nothing about it.
Yeah, I do put on any of those Q sites I post, please, you guys are the wrong road. Check GematriaEffectNews. I promote your stuff, Zach, and I'm telling my friends, but they definitely, some of them have stopped talking. I'm like, you don't understand. Look at the numbers. There is no bull. See, this is all, no opinion. It's very numbers-based. So I'll let you go. Keep doing it, Zach, man. I appreciate all this, okay? Other calls, let's go.
All right, man. No fear. Until next time. What's up, caller?
What's up, Zach?
What's up?
How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right.
Are you on the radio show right now? Or the live stream?
Broadcasting live from the closet. What's up?
Awesome. Cool. All right. Cool. Can I just go over something with you to piggyback off of what Brooke said last night?
Sure. You can say whatever you want, man.
Cool. Let me pause the live stream on my TV right now. Here we go. So instead of 415, I got something for 416. And peep this. So the biggest quake in California.
Uh-oh. Are you telling me this because it's the 107th day of the year?
You already know. You already knew it.
But I'm listening, man. Go ahead. You could be right. The reason I think that they're going to have some big natural disaster next is because they're doing all this Revelation shit. And Revelation's full of earthquakes and fire. And I think it's going to be a real bad year, man. I think there's going to be all sorts of crazy shit this year. But go ahead.
I'm with it, man. So peep this. 1857. Forte Home earthquake. It was on January 9th, 1857, right?
Uh-huh.
So 1857 to 2020 is 163 years. And we know what prime number that is. The 38th. So 38, 83, you get your murder and your death number, right?
Okay.
And then if you do the precise date, 1857 to 4/16/2020, it's 163 years, 3 months, and 8 days to the date.
Huh.
Crazy.
Oh. Yeah? Give me the initial date again. What was it? January 9th what?
1857.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Again, for people who don't know, the 107th day of the year matters because just using the alphabetic order, earthquakes 107, military's 107, Ring of Fire's 107. That's the Pacific plate that has all the quakes. So, yeah.
Ritual sacrifice.
Yeah, that's another one too. But yeah, just on the earthquake thing, just 107, that's a big one, so. And by the way, Boise, a guy asked me last night to look into the Boise quake. I think I talked about it earlier, but I'll just do it I think I did in the radio show last night, but just since we're talking about earthquakes by the numbers, Boise, Idaho just had an earthquake on March 31st. Date written 31/3, like 313, which is the 65th prime, and they said it was a 6.5.
Yep.
And that was the 91st day of the year, and Harp's 91, and it was on the 31st, and Boise's 31. So again, I mean, these earthquakes by the numbers are a real thing. LA, Southern California just had one on July 4th and July 5th last year. Of course, they were epicenter was on a military base.
The WSOP.
Yeah, military base. But yeah, so the 107th day of the year, definitely something to watch out for with earthquakes. I mean, people will say, well, there's earthquakes every day in the world. Yeah, that's true, but some of them are a lot bigger than others, and some of them are a lot more symbolic than others. And, you know, a Boise with a 6.5, that's not normal. Boise doesn't have earthquakes. That's a pretty big earthquake for Boise, so.
Just like the Utah one, like you said, you know?
Yeah, Utah, exactly, on the 78th day of the year. Salt Lake City, 78. The statue Moroni dropped the trumpet, and Moroni's 78, so, yeah.
Let me see. What else I got? I got so many notes. I got so much to connect to this earthquake coming up that might happen on the 16th. That is crazy. I'm trying to get all my thoughts and data together. I'm gonna do a post probably on Predefined Truth. Hopefully by tonight, maybe by tomorrow. But there's just so much that's connecting. That's why I just got a pretty good gut feeling something's gonna happen that day.
All right. I'm looking forward to that post, man. Just because this person keeps calling in, I'm gonna switch over, but I'm looking forward to that post on freedefinedtruth.com. Thank you.
For sure. Thanks,
all right, man. Have a good night. Yeah, take care.
You too.
Caller?
Are you on the radio show right now?
Caller? Hello?
Yes, sir.
You're
Yes,
on.
sir.
You're on.
Hello?
Yeah, you're on.
Hey, what's going on, Zach?
What's up, man?
Hey, so I knew about your channel. I knew about, you know, the Gematria a few years ago, and I kind of let it go and just live my life a little bit. But after the Kobe Bryant, I knew it was a ritual immediately. I said, LeBron, come on, man. So I've been watching your stuff nonstop since then, and I'm wondering what's gonna happen with LeBron. Like, I feel like LeBron is going to, and then with the lady who called yesterday about the Elvis being king, I just feel like LeBron, they're gonna use, especially with the way they're using these celebrities to be like the influencers over this. LeBron's probably the biggest celebrity in the world. I'm wondering, do you feel like they're going to roll him out to play this, you know what I mean, some type of way? Is yourself? What do you think?
Well, yeah, he's King James, man, and he's a big part of this Kobe thing, which is connected to all this. So it's hard to say where they're going to go with it. I'm waiting to see if they're going to cancel the rest of the NBA season or just go straight into the playoffs or what they're going to do. I mean, so... But yeah, no doubt there's going to be some LeBron King James rituals to come, because again, for the people out there, Corona means crown. So I don't know what they're going to do at this point, but you know he's going to become a greater part of this ritual. I have no doubt about that. So
right, and one thing that I haven't seen, maybe it was because I just wasn't on your channel before that, but like the whole debacle with China before the season began,
right?
The NBA in China,
right? That's a good point.
I don't know if you've already, you know, I mean, if you broke that down. If you did, I have to look for it. But do you think that has anything to do with it?
I'm sure it does, because the NBA is a huge part of this thing. I mean, their league was suspended on the 142nd day of the season, and coronavirus is 142, and then it was March 11th, 113, the National Basketball Association 113. You know all that, and then coronavirus pandemic equals 113. It was declared the same day. So the basketball and this have gone hand in hand. And exactly. Since the whole thing came out of China, that's a really good thought. I actually hadn't thought about that until you just brought it up, because I'd even forgotten that story happened. But I'm sure it is all connected. I'll have to go back and look at that. And that was mostly the Houston Rockets too. So I'm gonna have to think about that. Yao Ming played for the Rockets, most famous Chinese player. So there's probably even something there with Yao Ming.
Right, I didn't even think about that as well.
Yeah.
And then the guy that had called last week, he had broke down he was real scared that something might happen in New York with maybe a flood or something like that. And I know you said you don't really like assuming or putting predictions out, but it was pretty telling what he was saying. You don't have a particular video putting that out. You just kind of said it in a few different videos, right?
Right. Yeah, but yeah, the date he was worried about was April 6th, the 97th day of the year, because tsunami's 97, and Cuomo, the governor of New York, kept saying that coronavirus is like a coming tsunami. So.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so then that was another thing. The whole, the brothers, they got on CNN and they were fighting back and forth with each other with the mom, you know what I mean?
which I thought was just so, like, to me, I'm like, how do people watch this and now be like, this is scripted, like, this is not real, you know what I mean? Like, it blows my mind. And then obviously, you know, it's a precursor to the CNN guy getting coronavirus and whatnot. Was there any type of decoding that you did from that to the fact that he ended up getting it?
Did I cover that story? I don't remember that one.
Yeah, did you see it? When him and his brother, they literally got in a spat over who mom loves more on CNN. Like call your mom.
I don't think I saw that story. I gotta look that one up. Do you remember what their names were?
That was Andrew Cuomo and Chris Cuomo.
Oh, these brothers. Okay, these brothers. Yeah. I didn't realize that happened between them.
Oh, yeah. It was, to me, it was so awkward.
Well, maybe we got to look at Mother's Day.
It was awkward, bro. Like, if you watch it, I'm sure you'll dissect it. I just got a bunch of people who think everything is just funny. They don't look at anything on my Facebook. And I watched it on Facebook like, yo, y'all, like, this is something, like, this is, and then boom, a week and a half later, dude ends up having corona, supposedly, and he's doing CNN from his basement, which is also a joke to me. But, yeah, man, if you would check that out, man, it's, they literally had a brotherly spat like a couple of 12-year-olds would have right on the air on CNN talking about, give your mother a call. She misses you. Don't be too serious governing that state. Give your mama a call. You know what I mean? And it's just like, bro, this. Yeah. So.
What did this happen today?
Excuse me?
Was this story from today?
No. This is probably a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks ago. Chris Cuomo and Andrew Cuomo, they got in an argument. A brother spat on CNN. They literally got into it.
Okay, it looks like it was March 18th. I see. They were arguing about who's the favorite.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like I said. It's just, to me, it was awkward. I was like, bro, like, with what's going on, y'all are fighting on CNN about this for real. So
it looks like 2 days ago they had a segment sparring over their mother's sauce. So it looks like they had another thing about their mom just 2 days ago too.
Oh, I didn't even see that one. But yeah, this stuff is it's like watching a movie. It's like every day, it's like you're literally watching a movie. Like this world is so scripted, and I want to thank you, man, because like you opened my eyes. Like I've been on this truth journey since about 2014, 15. But really, after Kobe, really, I was like, dude, nah, man. And then after seeing all the numbers y'all done put together, I'm like, man, I'll try to show people. You already know the story. People, I think it's the human ego that doesn't want to accept the fact that they've been wrong about everything, and then they're gonna have to rearrange their whole mindset to accept what the truth actually is. You know what I mean? And to the point where I don't believe in anything, man. Like, I don't believe in anything, bro. Like, anything in the mainstream, I can't do it, bro. Like, I really can't, man. I'm really trying to get in this Bible more, because I see that's really what it is. Like, if the world is this fake, like, everything's about balance. So if the world is this fake, there has to be something to balance it out, and it has to be God. You know what I mean? The Bible says the devil was going to deceive the whole world. Straight up. Revelations 12:9. It said the earth's been given into the hand of the wicked. Job 9:24. There's so many scriptures that basically tell you this, but I think just even being in a part of this world, you know, whether it be sports, politics, music, movies, that you become part of the spell. You get, you know what I mean? Like, you get that spell of, like, loving, you know what I mean? Like me, I love Michael Jackson, Jay-Z, you know what I mean? I couldn't stand Kobe Bryant. I'm from Seattle. But, you know what I mean? Basketball players, like, you know what I mean? But now you really realize that, bro, like, if you don't let go of all of it, a small piece of you can be sucked in. And one other thing that I like how you break down is, like, I see a lot of Christians, pastors and whatnot, like, riding for Trump, and I I even think that Trump has like this spell on people. I'm talking about people that probably didn't like him a year before. A lot of black people, they're starting to just be like, you know what, man, I think I actually like what he's talking about now, man. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, it's all a stage, bro, and it's like a spell. It literally is a spell that you get sucked into if you don't just let go of it all, bro. Like, so.
Yeah.
So, but the truth community, how they're like riding Trump, like I cannot see how Trump is trying to take down the Illuminati and they don't blow his brains off. Like, that does not make any sense to me at all. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, Trump doesn't even seem smart enough to do something like that. Y'all telling me Trump is going to tear down the Illuminati?
Right.
Behind the Illuminati's back.
Right. It's such a joke, man, that people are even thinking like this. But yeah. The one thing I will say about the Bible is, again, it's been tampered with and it's been altered, and a lot of it is true. And I mean, when you read it, you're like, wow, it's describing exactly the world as it is now. And a part of me wonders, though, because they do call it scripture, and we know that these people use the Bible as their playbook. Religion was used before government to control populations. Government controls populations just like religion. And you see that a lot in the truth community. A lot of these people who are even, somewhat awake, they still think that they're powerless because they got this religious belief that they don't really have that much power, and all they can do as a human being is believe in God and wait until Jesus comes to save all the problems. And I'm telling you, that's a misinterpretation, and that very common belief is how we got to be in this bad of a spot in the first place, because there's all these people that have all this power that think they got none, and they're waiting for some savior while the tyrants are ruling over them and making things worse and worse by the day. So I just got to throw that one caution out there about religion. But I do think reading the Bible is a good idea, because there is a lot of truth in there, and it'll wake people up to the reality of this world, just like you pointed out. So
right. And what I've noticed is that the Bible it's like a riddle book itself. Like it needs to be decoded. The same way you guys decode the evil every day, the Bible needs to be decoded to get a proper understanding itself. And it's even in the Bible, it speaks in Revelation like, okay, now is the time to unlock the book. Like, the book people haven't been able to break down the book until now, until knowledge shall increase. And so I've noticed that even in the Bible it says that Satan, he wants to be like the Most High. He's going to ascend to the heavens, and he shall be like the Most High. So everything that he tries to do is like God. You feel what I'm saying? So God has a lot of what I'm seeing from my time. I'm not sitting here trying to act like I'm the most biblical. I'm not a biblical scholar at all. But I do recognize the same way you recognize something's going on with 9/11, man. The Patriots, the same way you saw the Patriots rise after 9/11, I saw that too. I just didn't, I didn't break anything down like you did. But in the Bible, it's the same way. There's foreshadowments, there's symbols, there's things of that nature that when you get them all, it'll create understanding. So I just noticed that, like, to me, but it goes along with everything you say. God created the world with numbers, letters, and words. So the devil's trying to do the same thing. He's trying to create his own world, which is deceiving the entire world. They believe this false impression of what the world is. So it's, that's my take. But I do know that the Bible needs to be read precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little. That's how you get that understanding. So, but I don't want to get into debate. I'm not even trying to go that route at all. But I appreciate what you do. I don't want people tearing me up in the chat, man. You know what I'm saying? But I appreciate what you do, man. I'm gonna keep tuning in, man. Trying to show people what's going on, man.
All right, appreciate it, man. Thank you. You have a good night.
All right, God bless.
All right, take care. Caller. Caller. Hello. Yeah, you want to mute your video and just talk through the phone. You're on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just mute the video.
Let me just put it on speaker.
Yeah, that's good.
Hello?
Yeah, you're there.
Okay, so I'm calling in. I have a little bit of some research I did, and I have tomorrow, I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I looked on Gematria, and on April 3rd, I wrote it out, the whole word. On April 3rd, in reverse full reduction, it's 65, and in Jewish reduction, it's 56, and in reverse ordinal, it's 155. I put April 3rd, and that's 222 in English ordinal. And then the Chaldean is 56, and in reverse ordinal it's 210. And then I put April 3rd, 2020, and in full reduction it's 113, and then in reverse full reduction it's 121.
Okay. Tomorrow's an interesting date. There was an article like a decade ago that said science figured out what day Jesus was crucified, and they say it's April 3rd. Let me see if I can pull this up. And the reason they say that is because in non-leap years, it's the 9th. There's a huge religious connection with all this going on. Easter's going to be a day to really watch for, but yeah, I suspect that we'll see some real interesting headlines tomorrow. So yeah, and you threw some good numbers in there too. So.
And there's something else. I watched the Lego movie, and the Lego movie, it's a very interesting movie because it is absolutely full of, what's it called, predictive programming, absolutely full of it.
Hold on, I got to interrupt real quick. I got a question. Is there just one Lego movie, or is there more than one?
Just the first one. It's called the Lego movie.
Okay.
That's it, because there's the second one, but it's just the first one that I'm talking about.
Okay. All right. I'm listening.
So the enemy, which is President Business. So President Business is, I mean, it's pretty obviously Donald Trump, and also President Business has a toupee, which they say Donald Trump does. So President Business owns a company called Octon, and Octon in the movie they say that Octon, they create all these great products. They create the pop music. They create the history books. They create everything, all the TV shows, everything. The voting machines. They own everything, and Octon, it doesn't have to be one company. You can say it's the Illuminati or whoever. And so one of the things that also that President Business plans, which is Taco Tuesday. And Taco Tuesday is, in the Chaldean, it's 44, along with mass genocide, which is 44. And also, it's also, you can write it how it's written in the movie. They call it tacos, Takos. The S is silent, he said. And tacos is, hold on, I think it was, I believe, 33. Let me see. Tacos. And it's 66 in English ordinal and 33 in reverse full reduction.
Okay, I'm gonna have to check it out. The Lego movie. I know Bruco in his video, he had some clips from it that I thought were really interesting. I'd never seen this film, but okay. The President Business. I see it came out.
Taco Tuesday, I believe it already took place this year on January 21st. Tuesday, which is when the first coronavirus case was found in the United States. A Tuesday, 1/21.
Okay, I'm gonna check it out. I see it came out in 2014. That was the year before Trump announced he was running for president. So.
Yes, and another thing is that President Business, so apparently what he did is he built walls around the countries to create order and to have everybody stuck inside their countries, so they couldn't mingle and go around to the other countries, which you can see is happening now that they shut down travel and everything. And also, there's a quote that I wrote down in the movie that he says, are you going to be with me, or are you going to be stuck having a tea party with your mom and dad? And stuck. So that's another thing about the coronavirus, is that we're all stuck inside of our homes. We're all stuck having tea parties with our mom and dad. And also, in the movie, one of the characters, he had a prophecy, and it was about a man with a face of yellow. And I looked it up, and the face of, I looked it up exactly. A face of yellow is 222 in reverse ordinal. And there's a lot of other gematria and a lot of the other names. President Business, Tacos, Taco Tuesday. You can spell it multiple ways with the.
Man, I just noticed. I noticed his name, President Business, equals 218, like Trump and Francis Bacon. If you write his name in all caps, like when he sent out that emergency tweet, it was at 218. Yeah, that's been a number that's come up a lot with Trump is 218. President business is 218. Amazing.
That's interesting. And so that movie is, and it has so many things.
Yeah.
And also in one of the scenes, the Batmobile, they're driving like a bat car, not a bat car, a flying bat vehicle, and they crash it into the sun. And in the scene, it's a sunset, and the sun is Corona. The sun has a corona, and there's the bat symbol is on the sun, which they said the virus came from a bat.
And that reminds me that Trump said, "I am Batman" when he was on the campaign trail too. So, I am Batman, Trump said.
So there's the parts with the bats in the sun.
Okay. Yeah.
The movie, I highly recommend watching it because it's full of all kinds of stuff. And one of the scenes, they go into like this place called Crowd Cuckoo Land, and inside one of the scenes, the guy's on a little. It looks like a strand kind of DNA. In one of the scenes, you kind of have to look at it. And also, right when they go into Crowd Cuckoo Land, the first thing that they see is the all-seeing eye is inside that.
But I gotta check this out, so it's too much.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. It was so full of stuff. My mind blew up with all the things that it had, and especially that was from 2014.
Yeah, the year before he announced he was running. What a joke, man. Yeah, but president business is 218. As soon as I saw that, I was like, oh my God, that's one of the numbers that's been all over with Trump with riddles.
And also, they don't just call him president business. He's also called Lord business also.
Lord business. Okay.
And also, Lord business. Guess where his capital is? It's an infinitely tall building, like Trump Tower, that he has a building.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to check it out, man. I appreciate the heads up. Good work.
Okay.
All right, take care, man.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, have a good one. Caller?
Hello?
Yeah, you're on.
Hey, Zach.
What's up?
I just want to talk to you about, like, a couple of the things. I mean, I'm watching on live right now. It's still playing another call, but
yeah, because that's why it's best to mute your video when you call in, because it's like a 30-second delay from live to watching the video.
All right, I understand. So they've been running this whole structure, right, and having us be part of it, but people like Bill Gates and Donald Trump, or like, let's say Jay-Z, who happens to be a Freemason, if they're regular people like us and they're all under these group of people, and they're like employees, like, doesn't, basically what I'm trying to say is how like, because there is a deep movie that came out on Netflix, and someone came and said it's called The Platform, and it's about how people keep switching floors, and the food only comes down, and everyone's got to eat what the people from the top level were given. So, and I thought that was a very good story about representing how us middle class people are trying to reach to the top, and like, but also shitting on the bottom poor people while also getting shitted on by the rich people. So basically, Zach, what do you think about this? Like, do you think like people like Bill Gates, do you think they're born knowing to just waking up and shitting on us, or like they're just regular people and it's just like it just happens to be the position they get put into?
Well, yeah, I think like a guy like Bill Gates is born into, I mean, all these people are talking about, Donald Trump, Bill Gates, they're all born into it. I mean, Donald Trump's father was a wealthy businessman. I mean, Donald Trump was given tens of millions of dollars in the 60s for graduating from college, and and Donald Trump said, "Wait, we didn't give you that much." It's like, dude, tens of millions in the 60s, that's like 100, it's like if your dad gave you $100 million today, and then they say, oh, that's not that much. I mean, think about how spoiled and entitled you'd have to be to even make a statement like that. So, yeah, these people are all born into it, and they're part of the cabal, and they're fulfilling probably, you know, what they were raised and groomed to do from a young age. So, just like Donald Trump is sort of commercial, he's talking about how he's born for the job. So, yeah, man, it's a class system, and we're all born into our little classes, and It's like that movie I was telling people to watch the other night, In Time. That movie, a poor guy, you know, he kind of strikes the lottery. A rich guy comes into his community and he likes him and he gives him all of his time, which is his wealth, and he allows him to go up to the top tier. And then up at the top tier, he learns how, the rich are conspiring to keep the poor and lower classes all down at the bottom so that they can live off their labor. And that's the same world we live in, man. It's a class system. It's why there's a very super rich class that creates all the policies and makes it so that they don't pay any taxes and they just suck up wealth and we pay all the bills. And those people are preserving that system, man. The super rich preserve the system and get us to, they trick us every election cycle into falling for it again, so...
But what's the alternative then? Because we're over here trying to fight them, and I strongly believe in everything you're saying. Like this is the truth to me. Like I do a lot of deep research, and I try to have as much discernment as I can. And I do see you as a truth teller. So that's what I'm calling onto the show, because it's like, if I want to be a part of the movement, like I'm in trade school right now. I'm learning to be an electrician, right? That's a middle class job. They're also trying to kill the middle class.
Of course.
And so how are we in this position?
Well, first of all, I think that's a great thing you're going for, to be an electrician. That's a great trade to have. Very helpful. But I mean, I've always said what we have to do, man. We have to form community. You know, in 2000, I wish what I said needed to happen in 2015 would have happened, because I said all these people in this community back then. I had like 20,000 followers. I said all of us who are following, man, what we should do is we should all move into a place like Detroit, buy up these $1,000 homes, fix them up. We need the electricians, we need the builders. Fix up these homes, create a local community. Have local agriculture. I said if we all have cheap homes that we can afford, that are fixed up and they function, and we got local agriculture and we know our neighbors and we're all invested in a better world and taking care of each other, that's all we essentially need. And nothing's changed since then, man, because the thing is, they have us living in this world of consumerism and dollars and cents. That's not really what the world's supposed to be about, man. The world's supposed to be about, you know, you wake up in the morning, you got friends, family, community, you're taking care of your lot, you're making sure your food's right. You know, you're making sure you got food in the cupboard, there's no holes leaking through in the roof, this type of thing. I mean, that's what we should have to be worried about in our life. But they created this new world around us where you're going to go out and have a job and you're going to work for somebody and you're going to pay taxes. This world doesn't work. This is a world that only serves an elite ruling class, man. We have to go back in time, back to the time of agriculture, before industrial age, and we have to start living for community and good food. I mean, that's all you really need. I guarantee all of us would be happier as people if we had friends and family and more free time and good food to eat. I mean, think about it. What are most people's good memories? It's probably when they get to gather with their friends and family and have a nice meal, which doesn't happen that much. Back in the old day, that could be how your life was almost every single day. So...
But they also are trying to destroy the whole family system.
Of course they are. They already destroyed it, man. They're not trying. They already did it, man. They already did it.
It's already destroyed, but that's what sucks, because to me, as a young man, it would be like one of my bestest wishes to like grow up and want to get married and have a wife and daughter, kids, whatever. But at the same time, they're implementing all of these fears and agenda, and like one of them demasculating men, and also the other one having women just not want to participate and like be a helping role in men. Like not that I see us like as that much superior. Like I don't even see us as superior. I just think a lot of these old ways of doing things and principles that would have worked out in the world we are trying to build, like community living, I think those are the exact things they're going against.
Well, you're right, man. I mean, they're trying to make the world upside down. They're trying to make people go against their own human nature, and I mean, they're doing it. And so again, it's because they have the minds of the masses through the technology. The technology controls the minds of the masses. As we all know, most people only believe what they see on TV. The TV is just so influential for them. It might as well be their own brain. And that's why all this has to be taken down, man. There has to be a revolution. The federal government has to be taken down. The media has to be taken down. There has to be a period of lawlessness And there literally needs to be a period of chaos where just all this is torn down. But in that type of period, that's why you want to have community so that you know who's your network. You got people that keep you safe, protected. I mean, we're in a bad spot right now. That's the reality of the situation. But even though we still have to do what needs to be done. Otherwise, we see the direction of things. They'll have total control over humanity. I mean, who even knows what these future injections are going to do to people besides just, limit life and take away life and cause cancer? I mean, they could turn us into full-on retards.
Trying to implement AI.
Exactly, man. Exactly. And all that. But, I mean, it just chemically dumb us down and everything. Just totally pacify us. So.
Yes, yeah, it's crazy. I'm here to support the movement. Once I'm fully working and able to do that, I'll be trying to fly out to Washington. Anything that's really my goal. Like, I fully support this movement, Zach. I thank you for what you've been doing, spreading the knowledge. There's this platform called Bro Sanchez. He's etymologist. He put me into the numerology type stuff. He didn't really expose me to Gematria, but I got exposed to your channel from people that do watch his. I think you should check it out. Like, he talks about a lot of interesting things, and like a lot of people on this platform do get put on to your platform, and hopefully I'll try to get more people on your platform from his. But I appreciate a lot of the effort and the hours you put into this, man.
Well, I appreciate you. Thanks for listening, man, and thanks for calling in tonight. You take care, man.
Yeah. All right, have a good night.
Yeah, you too. See you. Caller?
What's up, Zach?
What's up, man?
How you doing, man?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm pretty good, bro. Yo, I just had hey, you ever seen Demolition Man?
Somebody called in last night and said I need to go watch Demolition Man, and he was pointing out all the reasons why.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah?
Oh, yeah, bro. Because it came out in 93, like Sleepless in Seattle. But practice social distancing, they use that term a lot now.
Right.
That equals 108, and Demolition Man came out 10/8.
Huh. Is that terminology used in that movie?
Huh?
Is that terminology used in that movie?
No, but they've been using it like, on the TV a lot.
Right.
But you know what I'm saying? But there's like in the movie they talk about no toilet paper. You know what I'm saying? They use like 3 seashells, something like that. And then they even mentioned rat in there. He ate like Sylvester Stallone ate like a rat burger.
Huh.
You know what I'm saying? It's the year of the rat, and it came out 26 years ago. So,
Well, 93, 27, right? 27 years ago? 2019 would have been 26 years, but that's technically when this whole thing started, the end of 2019, so. Yeah, it was like 26 years before that event 201.
Like Demolition Man, 63-207, uncertain times, that's another phrase they use. 63-207. And then some of the actors got like 46, like Trump was born at 46. And they make a reference in that movie about, because there's a Taco Bell, like there's only Taco Bells or something in that movie. And they talk about like a franchise war, like all the franchises were shut down and shit like that.
Okay.
Like, it's pretty interesting.
That's another movie I need to check out. Okay. Adding it to the list.
Yeah, man. Yeah, somebody called in. I was like, I've been thinking it all week. I was trying to call you like pretty much all week, man.
Yeah.
But, it's a lot of stuff in there.
Okay.
And I seen wireless radiation equals 201.
Huh.
That was something that I saw.
Huh.
They just put up them 5G boys. Them boys is looking beefy too. Them towers.
I'm glad I live in a small community right now because we don't have it out here yet. So, probably not too far off though.
Yeah. Yeah, I seen a couple of photos of them, pretty beefy. But yeah, man, that's all I wanted to say. And we got to mobilize, bro. Like, people gonna have to fight, like, really fight for freedom.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's coming to that point. It's coming coming to like that Terminator, you know, Judgment Day type shit. All of that shit is around the corner, my G. So
It is, man. It is. That's why they've been prepping us for over a decade now with all this apocalyptic shit in the movies and TV shows. So
yeah, but I'll just be like sitting here and like looking at all these commercials and just seeing how they just repetitively stay in your home or contactless, all of this stuff. You know, trying to just program everybody.
indeed.
You know what I mean? Because when you come outside, it's going to be a whole different, you know, if they do open everything back up, it's going to be different.
Indeed. Yeah. All right, man. I appreciate the call. I'll check it out. You have a good night, man.
All right, man. Peace.
All right, take care. Caller? Caller?
Yes.
You're wrong.
All right, so check it out, man. I was listening to one of your boys' videos on YouTube earlier today, and the lady had called in and she was talking about solutions. You know, what can we do? All I hear is people pointing out things. Okay, at some point, you need to just accept that this shit is real. Yeah, we need to be watching and paying attention and focusing on certain things that are the big events, but the majority of people that's calling, they all are just saying like, oh, I noticed this, I noticed that, I noticed this, and that's important, yeah. But once you've already waken up, you know, it's not about trying to wake up everybody. Everybody ain't gonna make it. Everybody ain't gonna get it. But there's so many people right now that are waking up and don't have a fucking clue what's going on. They don't understand why they're feeling the way that they're feeling. They don't understand why they're seeing the things that they're seeing. And there's so many missed opportunities to help those people because we're too busy focusing on things that have already happened. This is a real war that we're fighting, but as a reminder, you got to remember that this is not a war on flesh and blood. Yeah, we're dying, but it's because of our principles. We're like walking into booby traps. They're not like out here with the military killing us in broad daylight. No, they're killing us because we keep walking and stepping on these booby traps that we all know exist. So what needs to happen like yesterday is we need to become like the ant. I want everybody that's listening, whenever you get a chance, go watch a video of a colony of ants when they're up against a predator that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times its size. Look at how they defeat the predator every time. There's no king, there's no general leading the charge. No. They all understand that this is a threat, and we all have to do our part to take care of it. And that's how we have to be. But we don't need to be in one group. We don't all need to get together and have a rally, have a pep. No, that's not what needs to happen. As individuals, in our own lives daily, our principles need to be aligned in harmony with the earth that we live on, not in harmony with the system that they have us living through. The moment we align our principles with what we need to live, that is the moment that we become a force. That is the moment we become unstoppable. No, we don't have the military weapons to deal with them, and we shouldn't even be trying to have them, because that's how they're identifying you. That's how they're making you a target. That's how they're labeling you a terrorist. So we need to do the opposite. When they say go right, we go left on purpose. That's how you be disruptive. We do the exact opposite of what they expect us to do. Now, I don't know why I have this energy. I don't know. I'm learning. But for me, my wake-up call, it wasn't on purpose. I knew something was going on. I knew something was wrong. But what happened to me, I didn't ask for it. It was kind of like Dr. Strange when he got pushed out of his into his astral projection by mistake. It's kind of the same thing that happened to me. And from that day forward, I've just been seeing all of this stuff. And for so long, I felt so alone. I felt like nobody got it, nobody understood, because everybody that I would talk to and try to explain it to couldn't even grasp what I was trying to say. And it's supposed to be that way, because most of the stuff that you get is for you. It's not for the person that's all the way across the other side of the world that the information that you're getting is useless to. What is for us is that we know that what's inside of us is real. We know it's real. After a while, you get to, at first, you kind of question it because it doesn't seem real. But after you've been living years, after you didn't have these horrific visions and experiences where you've been so close to the edge and you can't explain it, but you're still here. So it's not about overrunning them and taking over. No, that's not how we get there. As individuals, we do our own part for this colony. This, for lack of a better term right now, a spiritual colony, we'll call it. The energy in and around you and everything that is alive, that is what the spirit is. And we all share it. It's like air. We all breathe it. We all share it. So what has to happen is we have to tap into that. That's what we have to tap into. We don't need to do anything on the outside. The world would be brought to us. We don't have to take the war to them, because all we have to do is align our principles. That's it. 5G, yeah, it's a threat, but it's really a threat to those people who've been taking vaccines all these years and who got the mercury in their body, who has these other metals in their body. That's who it's really going to affect. Yeah, it's going to affect all of us to some degree, but the people that it's going to kill is the people who got metals in their body. So don't be worried about the 5G. Be trying to figure out how to get the metals out your body.
Well, I'd say probably most people have metals in their body with the shit they're raining in the sky.
Most of us do. Yeah, most of us do. But because what? The beef, right? The beef, right? The metals ain't really in the chicken. It's in the beef.
It's in the air, man.
Right? So,
it's in the air. It's in the air everywhere. So they're spraying in the sky all day, man. Metals.
It is. But I mean, don't you think? Do you really feel like you abandoned out here? Do you really feel like you all alone out here and all of this? Don't you feel like you, especially, don't you feel like there's something there with you, guiding you through all of this, helping you see? Something woke you up to what you're seeing.
Sure. You've been here. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I do feel that way. That's why I get up every morning to do this. But I've been saying for years that I don't know if we're saying the same thing, but I've been preaching the same message the whole time I've been here, is that we need to start behaving different. We need to stop participating in all this consumerism. We need to become about truth and caring about people and doing the right thing, because the day we start doing that, that's the day their system breaks. And if we all do it in big enough numbers, that they're not going to be able to have this system reign over us, because everyone's just so fixated on consumerism and materialism, and they don't care about anything else. That's the world they built for us. But
we know why, though, right? We know why, because the flesh, right? The flesh needs it. Our spirit don't really need it. Our flesh is what needs that. The flesh is what has these desires. So that's why so many people, we do what the flesh do, and we kind of never mind what the spirit is telling us. It's hollering, it's screaming loudly, telling us to go left, don't go right. But the flesh is like, nah, I want that Popeye's chicken sandwich. I just gotta have it, so I'm gonna just go get it.
Sure.
That's the war. We can't expect to fight this enemy that has control over. Anytime it puts something on the TV screen or something on the phone, a challenge, a virus, a holiday, whatever it is, people just, without question, without even thinking about it, just go and do it. So there's no point in trying to wage war with anybody.
I gotta disagree with you on one thing, man. as long as the system's in place that's in place, it's going to continue to rule the minds of the masses. And yeah, you can break away from it, but as you see, a very small percentage of people
It's
do.
supposed to rule the mind of the masses, but again, like I said, we ain't trying to get. Reality of the situation is only those people who do what they see and hear from God are going to be saved. Those who are only those who
is ultimately what you're saying is, you know, just
only
make
those
sure.
who endure until the end.
So is what you're saying.
So many people are going to fall by the wayside, bro. Like, there's so many people dying right now from
So
coronavirus.
does God teach to just talk all the time and never listen to anybody else speak? Is that one of God's teachings? Just keep talking, and don't listen at all? Have no listening skills?
I'm sorry. I didn't hear you. Go ahead.
I know, because you keep talking. And I let you talk for like 10 straight minutes before I finally even said anything. So anyway, it's part of God's plan to just let the whole world go to shit and then just get spiritually right inside and just be all right inside while these people continue to rain hell on the world and make sure that there's no future.
But like you just said, right? What you just said earlier, what was going on? Who has control of the earth? Who rules the earth? Who really rules the earth? Right? The earth is under control of evil.
Right. So that's why. So what are we supposed to do? Just stand by and let evil rule?
Look, this is what happened. And this is why God hasn't intervened. Because the accuser said that God was unjust, and because God is just, He cannot just intervene anytime He wants to. It's the same thing like they did Alex Jones. What if God decided to just X Satan out, right? Or X any angel out, X any celestial being out? What would happen? What would be the consequence? A myriad fail, not just one, a whole myriad fail. So it's like a trial, it's like a court. He is putting his honor on trial. The accuser brought it up. God didn't say, "Oh, I'm supreme." No, the accuser was like, "No, he's unjust. The humans are going to fail. They're not worthy. I am the more powerful creation. They should be worshiping me. I shouldn't have to watch what they do. I shouldn't have to keep an account of their actions. They should be keeping account of mine."
Okay.
And that's why God isn't just intervening anytime He wants to. And that's why you brought it up. And that's why things are going to shit, because that evil of the earth knows.
Let's go back to your earlier analogy of the swarm of ants and how they take care of bigger predators. I'm saying that we need to swarm on the enemy and get rid of it, because to me, we can't just stand by and let this evil government and its evil media just continue to do what it does. That movie, They Live, the way that movie ends, They Live, it ends with the news media being taken down, and then the spell breaks over the people that's got the mind control all over them. It's the same thing in here, man. If you and I were on the TV tonight, you know, telling the world that they need to get spiritually right and get over all this consumerism and start, you know, living for a different purpose, that would have an impact because it would come through the TV.
All right,
so
let me say this. Look, man. I know I sound like that holy roller, but that ain't the perception I'm trying to give you right now. There comes a point when that kind of action will be inevitable, right?
We're pretty much right there right now, man. We're pretty much right there right now. It's either act now or take the mark of the beast. That's about what's about to happen.
Okay, so where do we go? Where do we run to? There's no underground bunker for the people.
I didn't say run to underground bunker. That's not what I just said. I didn't just say run to underground bunker.
We have to form that. We have to form that place. We have to form it. But the first thing that has to happen is it has to be like I would only like saying this, but it has to be like a hive mind. We have to be on the same page.
Right, and that ain't going to happen. That'll never, ever happen as long as things are the way they are. Because right now there is a hive mind, and it's controlled by the elite through the media, because they control it. That's why we got to swarm on those media stations and hijack it, take the whole thing over. Because until that happens, nothing's changing. And you can be spiritually all right inside and get all content like that, but that's not doing nothing for the future generations and all the young children right now growing up in this world who are going to be forced to take that mark. And they're going to be forced to take that mark because the adults never did nothing. They just sat there and made excuses and, went to Bible passages about how they can't do shit. They just got to wait for God. Telling you, man, all that stuff, it all came from the same controllers.
I never said anything about waiting. We need to be building. But how can we build if we don't have an agreement on what needs to be built, right?
I'm telling you, man, the only way in this day and age to get people on this.
You think what I'm saying is like inaction, and we sit and wait. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying, what has to happen first is we have to be on the same page before we can start.
And like I just said, man, you keep talking, but you're not listening. That's never going to happen until we take over the media. That's the only way you're going to get the people on the same page with the right plan.
I disagree because.
Well, I'm going to move on. Later, man. What's up, caller?
What's up, like? Hey, man, just real quick. I was just trying to do some research on Bill Gates and vaccinations. Nobody's like, I haven't heard anybody like questioning why Bill Gates is even into vaccinations. Like he's not a doctor or a scientist like that. So it's just something that was on my mind. That's all I really had. Do you need to know how he got into vaccinations?
It's because of his dad. It's because of his dad. Because his dad's into population control. That's what his dad was into, and that's what he's into. And exactly, that's what people should always be asking. Why is Bill Gates touted like he's some expert when he's a computer guy? What's he know about medical science and vaccinations? Exactly.
Right. So was his dad like into eugenics thing also, and like scientism and that shit?
Yeah, his dad was into population control and eugenics. That's how it all started. I need to go do more work on his dad, so.
Yeah, I was about to say I'm going to about to jump right into it and see what's up, see some stuff with Bill Gates' dad and things like that, because I was just like, why is Bill Gates into vaccinations really anyway? So that's all I really had.
Yeah, it's a good question, man. Everybody should be asking it.
Yeah, for sure, man. But, yep. Go ahead, man. I'll just keep listening in, man. Appreciate it, bro.
All right. Take care, man. See you.
Yes, sir. Yep.
And that last caller who I just had to hang up on him, man, he just likes to talk, and he's a guy that says a million words and doesn't really say shit. I mean, what was he saying? Like, all of us heard he made a whole bunch of words, but it was just like word salad. He's like, oh, no, man, we can't. I mean, what the fuck was he even saying? He said, you see what a pack of ants does? They attack in a swarm. And then he's like, but we can't do that. We can't do that. Only ants can do that. I mean, that guy didn't make any fucking sense. People like him, man. I'm telling you, if we don't overthrow this government and this media, you'll never see shit change. The day we hijack the media and get on there and broadcast the truth, that's when people will listen, because they'll be like, oh shit, it's coming through the TV. That movie, They Live, silly movie, but a lot of truth in it, and that movie's exactly right. Character takes down the mainstream media at the end, and then the spell of mind control breaks over the populace. And to think that that's not what's controlling the minds of the masses, you got to be brain dead. Look at these sheep. All they believe in is the news. They think that's the only source of real information, the news. And it's like, how can you think that in 2020, man? The news lies to you about everything. They say this one day, the complete opposite the next. I mean, the news should be the least credible thing in the world. But in these brain dead, mind-controlled sheep, it's all that matters. All right, you guys, I'm going to wrap it up. I'll be back tomorrow. Who knows? I might even be back tonight. Depends on what they give us. But I'm also, just as a heads up before I go, I'm thinking about maybe taking 2 weeks off from making videos and spending that 2 weeks finishing the book that I've been working on, because I'm so close. I'm also even thinking about maybe just in 2 weeks just writing a chapter on coronavirus and combining it with my 9/11 chapter and just putting out a book on 9/11 and this whole coronavirus thing. Here, let me take one more call, but I feel like I got to get a book in print too to just get it real clear for people. What's up, caller?
Yeah, did you see the news article about the train crashing near the U.S. Mercy?
Yeah, I did, and then they put out the news story yesterday on
71, right?
What's that?
Mercy 71. That was a big 71, right? Like for the prince. I mean for whatever Cassandra or whatever his name is.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't put that up on the website, the 71 for Mercy.
Anyway, listen, are you going to cover in school how in septenary Jesus equals 864? Everybody that wants to go to school. Anyway, a book for $5, Kabbalah. That's the cheapest I ever heard of it. A book for $5 on Kabbalah. I applaud you for that. It's the greatest. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome, and thanks for taking the time to get it and read it.
Of course. And the girl from Sweden yesterday, that was a goodie. I like that. And the QAnon, oh my God, people are freaking very bad. I'll let you get back to the rant. Monday, I'll tune in.
All right, sounds good. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, take care. All right, yeah. So, I mean, I'll let you guys know if I'm going to go silent and finish those projects. Because, I mean, the censorship is so bad. These videos aren't even reaching anybody. I mean, they're reaching you guys. I don't mean to say they're not reaching anybody, but they're hardly reaching anybody. And the thing is, everyone in this community who's already awake to what's going on, I mean, I know you guys feel less lonely when we're all here as a community doing a live stream, talking and stuff, and I am here for that reason. I mean, that's mostly what keeps me pushing out content, is just because all the people, if I don't post anything for a day, I get like 100 emails that say, Zach, man, I need my fix of the information. And I hear all that, you guys, but I mean, ultimately, we have to figure out a way to reach more people. And I know pounding the pavement's going to be it. That's going to be one thing. But if I write a short book and really just get right to the point of, 9/11, coronavirus, what this is all about, where we're being taken, show them the undeniable code, get it in people's hands, that might be the more pressing priority right now. And I've been nearly finished with one book for forever, and I haven't finished it. And then it wouldn't be actually that hard to write a chapter on all the coronavirus stuff. I imagine if I just sat there and focused real hard for a week, I could probably write a pretty solid chapter putting all the main points together that we've covered on this whole thing. Or more than a chapter, really. But I mean, I could probably write at least really 50 strong pages of content, and then my chapter on 9/11 in my other book, I could go through and add a few more things that I've learned since I released it. That chapter's already over 50 pages, so put those things together, it'd be over 100 pages. Throw in the introduction chapter for how to do Gematria, you're probably looking at like a 150-page book. I talked to the local bindery here in my small town of Yakima. They're still open, and they said if I gave them a 150-page book, they could have it printed in 2 weeks at the most. The thing about that is then I'd be spending all my days distributing them. But honestly, guys, I'm thinking about... I got to talk to Sweet Lady. I already know she's not going to like it. But I'm almost just thinking about just printing out a bunch of books, as many as I can afford to have printed out, filling up the trunk with them, and just driving city to city, getting out the word, passing out books, and, just hit all the key spots. Spend a day in each big city in the nation, drive a circle around the nation, get the word out coast to coast. So maybe I'll go buy like some hybrid minivan and pick up truth seekers that want to roll with me along the way. Do they make a hybrid minivan? I need some gas mileage. I hate giving all my money to the gas companies, but I don't know. I'm just brainstorming ideas right now. And again, thank you to all the people who are supporting the Patreon and buying the book because of those resources coming in. It gives me ideas for things that are possible. And again, another big goal before the end of the year is to have a physical building and at least a couple employees hired. Again, if we haven't hit that mark I'm aiming for, but keep pushing for it. So, all right, you guys, have a good rest of your night. Next live stream, hit me up with some ideas if you got some better ones, but those are the things I'm thinking about. So I'll let you guys know when I'm ready to take that pause and get the project in motion. They just announced in Washington State that we're on lockdown now till May 4th, 5-4. You know what that number's all about, right? It's the sun number that goes with the corona. And I imagine if that's going on here, I imagine at some point they're just going to say that we're like on a federal lockdown. Can only go to work or school or the grocery store or whatever. But when we come out of the lockdown, I want to have a book in print and ready to roll, So, All right, you guys, have a good rest of your night. Be safe out there. Don't let this get you down. Let it be motivation. Because, again, there's an opportunity here to wake up, the sleepers. There's a lot of people right now that, they're not quite awake, but they just know something's funny about all this. And I said I was going to get off, but here, let me take one last call, and then we'll wrap it up. All right, what's up, caller?
Jack, how are you, man? I got to apologize.
What's up? Why you got to apologize?
Well, I sent you a nasty text because I felt like you were probably not taking my call, because the last time I had called in, I was yelling. It was funny, right when I hung up, a young guy goes, "Man, that guy's passionate. I'll donate $1." I'm thinking, I roll my eyes. I'm like, thanks a lot. So, yeah, this is really serious, Zach. Like, you're so right on, and people are just so... Why that last week, everyone's arguing about the Bible if you learn the code, because of the translations and the timing of Gematria, can't even trust the Bibles we're reading. Why can't people see that, Zach?
Well, everybody needs something to believe in, I suppose. So.
Well, I love it too. I got a really good cousin, and she stops right there. Jesus on the cross, and I'm like, and I haven't even cracked Gematria with her because she just rolls her eyes.
Here, before you go any further, I just want to say something real quick. I haven't seen your text message, so don't even worry about it. But I get messages and emails like this every single day. Just nasty messages because people think I'm ignoring them. You guys, I don't ignore anybody. You guys, I wake up in the morning and I decode shit all day and I make videos and I present and I sneak in meals real quick and I eat and then I go to bed. And this is pretty much what I do every day.
I mean, dude, you're an animal. I don't know how you do it, but when you just said you want to do the road trip, you know me, I've called in. I want to do that too. This is about city to city. We don't need the $100 dinner or whatever. We just need a little community center room. It's only going to be probably, you got a pretty wide following when you start saying this is what I'm doing, whether it's Kobe Bryant Day or whatever. But here's some thinking, man. I'm noticing people are really confused. So we need like that big business card that gets them to your website, the GematriaEffectNews, and has some key points on there, because Event 21 is huge. And I've even been doing my own Gematria, Zach, and I come up with some crazy shit. The other night I took a break for the generic side. I drove up, I'm 4 hours from Mount Whitney, so I get the $60 a night at the budget end. The guy goes, "Yeah, you're right there. There's your room." And I looked, but my room is 21.
Huh.
After we're doing all this 121 stuff and everything. And then I finally am like, what? Because I'm seeing 21 more than 121. I didn't really realize it. 21 is simply 7 times 3, which is a huge number for these freaks.
Well, and remember Agenda 21, this all fits in. Agenda 21's about...
It all fits in. And here's another thing. I want to hammer this home more, because I know you get hammered with everything. And, even that bot, it's starting to jump out at me, Zach. And the listeners, you guys that I yell, I love you all. Here's the thing. You were little babies and little kids at 9/11. Zach was a teenager. At 9/11, man, I was middle-aged man, looking to maybe start a family. Looking to get married and start a family. Or not middle-aged, I was Zach's age. I was 35, I guess. And that just hit me in such a way, this can't be real. Now, I bought into it for a few years till all that stuff started surfacing. What's that hole in the Pentagon? Just connecting the dots. Because the truthers, remember, our internet was pretty new then. And we certainly didn't have the media we had with our connectivity. But obviously, it didn't take long. And if you guys look, remember this, Zach. Do you remember when, and you've probably done numbers on this, but that one actor, Sheen, what's his name? Who went off the deep end supposedly he had a great TV show. Martin Sheen,
Lawrence.
Right?
Martin Lawrence, living in apartment number 42. Martin?
No, the Sheen guy who was
Charlie
hanging
Sheen?
out with the porn stars.
Charlie Sheen?
And Charlie Sheen, yeah, Charlie. So if people don't remember this, but Charlie Sheen, and again, this is all deep state propaganda stuff, but that's what got me really looking, because you had Alex Jones starting to burst out on the truth community. He was kind of whacked, but his information was whatever. It started waking me up anyway more. But it was Charlie Sheen that called out Obama. He goes, "Man, we got out there. He was from the left, from Hollywood. And then soon after that, he had to go off the deep end and like go, cuckoo, cuckoo, one flew over the cuckoo's nest. So they probably pulled him aside and said, look, buddy, don't be upsetting the apple cart on 9/11 here. So now, if you want to, continue your life, you go off the deep end, and you won't have to go totally off the deep end, but your show is over. You're done with, that was a great show too. The 2.5 Men with the little kid and stuff. Anyway, what I'm pointing out is the agenda. The agenda is so crazy. And you know my mind. I made notes, and I'm in my car right now looking because I have some great notes. But listen to this, Zach. So I know I sent you the book. Everyone says this is really important because you got to also there's a lot of geopolitics going on right now with China, Venezuela. This all goes back to OPEC. You could do a whole book on the numbers with OPEC. Nixon takes away the gold and goes to the oil. I mean, I looked back at a graph of gold buying. Russia and China started really buying. Look at a graph of it. I can text it to you. Their gold buying graph started in 2010. Well, politically, look what happened right there. Saddam and Gaddafi just got wiped out because they wanted to start selling their gold or selling their oil for gold. They were sick of the petrodollar. Well, Hillary Clinton's all like, he came, he saw you. She's bragging about dragging Gaddafi through the street, who just wanted nothing to do with the petrodollar. Same with Saddam. In 2010, China and Russia start buying gold. Look at and now they're not buying. And if you look in terms of billions of dollars, it's not that much gold, but it's a lot more than a lot of people. Gold and silver are way out of whack. They're like, well, the mines are shut from the virus, so the mint is behind. No one has any physical. But I'm telling you, I bought a roll of Silver Eagles the other day. I jumped on it at $400. That's like delivered, that's like $20 an ounce. Go online, silver's like $14 an ounce. There's some really crazy shit going on, and they're just passing it over. And you've hit on it big, Zach, because now we know, you know all the shit about the lunar calendar. You know all about 9/11, and somebody earlier today was calling, and I really believe that Event 201 talks about 6 months later. And 6 months later from now, guys, is 9/11 on the lunar calendar, 9/11, and that's crazy shit. And did you know this? Google this right now. This blew me away. You can Google the stock offering of Microsoft. I couldn't believe the numbers. They just jumped right out. He did it on 3/13. I was like, don't tell me it's a Friday. I looked on, it's not. It was Thursday on March 13th that he went public, Gates. And it's psycho. He had 11.1 million shares at $28. It equaled like 300. All the numbers were there. So he went public and stepped off the board on 3/13 to the day. And that's not creepy as hell. I don't know why the 34 years, but it might be because of your little protest. He said, I better get the hell off this Microsoft thing.
That was the same day. It was the same day we were doing it that all happened, March 13th.
Yeah, but when I looked at when did he start this shit, he has a bunch of key dates. Because there was a date he founded Microsoft way earlier, like in the 70s. But they only took the stock in 86, but it was on March 13th. And the stock offering and the price point and how much he made. And then, next thing I know, I'm looking Forbes 400. Well, when I was younger, because I lived in North Chicago around some money, and my little 8th grade, my little grade school girlfriend, Janet Crown, the Crown family, they were on the Forbes list. That family poured half the concrete in the city of Chicago. Their grandfather at one point was a part owner in the Empire State Building. So, it's real money. We were swimming in the indoor heated pool in the 70s, okay? That was pretty cool. That was the rich kids. I didn't know what that meant, but they're big people, and but not anymore, because that's old money. But at the time, they had $2 billion and made the Forbes list. Well, then that got me thinking again about this crazy novel with Decode. And I sent you that text where, listen to this. This is where the geopolitics make this even connect the dots on steroids. Gorky 400 is so the 400 I think comes from the Forbes list. I have no way of proving that, but it's whatever. Maybe it's
not that big a deal. It's not really, but it's just kind of that era. The Forbes list was a real big deal then. You got the Gorky 400. Remember, in 81, the senior Bush, the creepy one, the one they just put to death when, the guy slipped up on TV and said, hey, he just put to death. Kasich slipped up on TV. He didn't slip up. He said that. But the original novel was, of course, a ghostwriter, not Dean Koontz. So he was probably, with his assignment in 81, a little creeped out to write this novel. And no one's talking about that either. Notice how we got novel and novelle.
Right.
Novel is the book. Novelle coronavirus is, like a huge clue. The novel. Look at the novel. It all started with the novel.
And since all this stuff is like synced up with World War I and the Spanish flu.
And then you linked it to the Spanish flu.
Well, the typewriters, just that all these celebrities keep posing with these Corona typewriters. I feel like they're trying to tell us that this has been planned for a long time, since like the age of typewriters.
A long time. Now listen to how I connected more. So Gorky 400 is because in 81 we still had Reagan coming in, and again, half our audience here was not even born. You were a little boy in 81, but I was a teenager coming out of high school. I was chasing pussy, which is going to be real hard to chase pussy with his new masks and virus and social distancing. And don't get me on social distancing, because I know the last phone call I said, Zach, what's with the fucking social distancing? And then you did a video on that. I'm like, oh my God, this is really sick. But so Gorky 400 is Creepy Bush is the vice president. By the way, they tried to kill Reagan, and I don't know if that was fake or they really just missed by a centimeter. You know what I mean? But they always pick a vice president to follow, either kill a president to put an LBJ in, like JFK, and other presidents, or getting Ford in after Nixon's impeachment or resignation. You know what I mean?
Right.
Bush picks a guy like Dan Quayle because he can't even spell tomato. So they obviously pick a vice president so that you don't kill me, or you pick a vice president because you think you will get killed. Anyway, so Bush is running the CIA, then he's the vice president. I look back now and realize he was the president while Reagan was the president. He was running the whole fucking show. So some assignment goes from the CIA to the worry about the virus, but I'm not doing it in my name. I'm going to do it on a ghostwriter. Well, then in 1989, which gets real close to this other 30-year anniversary, Zach, think about it. It's not so much the 2020, of course it is the year of the rat and all that, but the virus breaks out in December, or actually November of 19, which is the 30-year anniversary from Wuhan 400. That should give people some goosebumps. Because Wuhan was not in the first edition in 81. They changed it 8 years later. He's getting a little more like, whatever, I guess I'm safe. I'm not dead yet. So I'll even put my name on the cover of the 1989 edition. And it just gets like, whoa. And then you look at geopolitics, where the wall, you know all about that. You can start to connect the fall of the wall. It's 89. Of course, 89 is right there at the inauguration of Creepy Bush. And he can't wait to start a fucking Gulf War. And then again, that's all in the OPEC, the oil and the petrodollar. And they got that shit there watching that like freaks, like the owls that they are, and the owl of the night. And that's why I love Rambo, because if Rambo could overlay more of the astrology over this. And another thing that seems to got missed, most of this all went down, and I know Rambo talks about Mercury, but I read it down somewhere. Mercury retrograde, which is Mercury is the planet of communication. I first learned about it kind of backwards. I'm like, why is everything so fucked up? This was the girl goes, well, Mercury's in retrograde. This was years ago, before I ever knew. This is part of my waking up. And sure enough, I've been following that on and off. But often to this day, I still forget to look at it beforehand. It's afterwards. I'm like, God, I bet, it'll be almost like, oh, Mercury's probably retrograde because shit is going bad. You shouldn't sign contracts. You shouldn't do agreements. You're going to have computer problems. You're going to have internet problems. Anything with communications goes haywire when Mercury goes retrograde. Rambo could do a whole episode on that, and why, like today, when he did April Fool's Day today, that was just awesome, Yesterday was real weird with Trump. Talk about an April Fool's joke. All of a sudden, he's projecting the stupid numbers. What was with that dumb number?
240,000 could die. First he's calling it a hoax, and now you know why he's calling it everything a hoax in the fake news era? Because your other caller was saying, hey, Zach, why was the truth community like put on steroids and then turned on its head in 17? The guy had called in, and that helped me with my truth. I would just go on YouTube and look for hoax, whether it was Sandy, whether it was Boston. You come on, 19-year-old kid hiding in some boat. That was all. My one friend goes, are you watching the news? He goes, they got Boston in lockdown. Looks like a giant drill. And I go, no shit, that looks weird. What is that? Well, now I'm starting to realize it. You got the computer right there, Zach?
Yeah.
Yeah, put in Google. Do the live action role play in the Gematrinator. Live action role play, which is the LARP, which is that whole QAnon joke. I'm starting to think that Trump's whole presidency and the goofballs, because he got caught last week where Pompeo slipped up, I guess, maybe by design, or it was an actual slip-up about being an exercise, and Trump says something like, I didn't even watch the clip, and Trump says, oh, I wish you would have told me. I'm starting to think this whole thing is just a giant live-action role play. Like, Trump's done it for The Apprentice. The only thing we're missing is the little black and white thing. Okay, this is a day 15, press conference 18. Ready, set, action.
Well, that's what it always is with the presidency. Live action role play equals 88 in the most pure cipher, like Trump equals 88 with the alphabetic order. So.
Yeah, and then I think you can Gematrinator LARP, LARP, which is the acronym for this. And then Zach, check this out, man. I was wondering what's the COVID? I get it. COVID is supposedly the 19th strain of Corona, but I've been voice texting to people, and Google is adding -19 when you say COVID. When you're doing voice to text on your Google, you say COVID and you look on your phone, and they add, their voice is adding -19.
Yeah.
Like they want to track, like they're tracking everything. And then I also know about a computer, you can look it up, it's called GDelt. GDelt is a Google Alphabet owns so many companies, one called an AI company called DeepMind. And this is shit I swear to God, you need to do a show, not so much with Jason Goodman, but with the Gators guy that's exposing everything. If Gators tells the story, but he doesn't avoid the numbers. He's giving you credit, but he doesn't put the numbers in there, which will just make it like 10 times more powerful. Because his stories are great. He digs in on the companies where Kobe was going to go to court, not just for Black Mamba and the nutritional, but he was going to go to court on other companies that were under the Novartis. And I'm sure if you dig in there, you're getting into, whatever, vaccines, some of these patents that are on viruses. Who knows? It's Pandora's box. And remember I told you, run the numbers right now on Project Pandora. I think another number jumps out. That's what the virus was called in Eyes of Darkness. It was Project Pandora.
Okay.
And then that the Project Pandora had a number. I looked at it today, and I'm getting better at the numbers, but I still can't just look at the number and go, oh boy, I can obviously do that with 47s and 33s. But man, I think September 11th this year is something nasty coming up. So
Project Pandora is 222 and 78 like Wuhan coronavirus, and it's also 66 like Corona.
Now, Project Pandora was in the original 1981 book, apparently. That's when I looked up. I never read the book. I just looked at the book summary, like the Cliff Notes. So I will reiterate, we don't even need a 10-page Cliff Note. We need a large business card, because people are getting confused. They're like semi-woke up. They just know something's not right. Boom. Here's the card, man. This shit links to 9/11. This shit links to the Fed. I even looked up the birthday of the Fed today, and numbers were jumping out.
Yeah.
The Fed birthday. You probably know it off the top of your head, Zach.
I think it's Christmas Eve, 1913. Or
yeah, it was 12/23.
12/23, yeah, 2 days before Christmas.
12/23. Yeah, it was a very strategic date. I mean, nobody knows that 3 guys went down in the Titanic from the Iron Man Titan, you know, and 3 guys that wanted to stop the Fed drowned, and the Titanic was basically like an airplane that we would crash today, but the only way to get them all on the same thing was to hook them up with this fancy boat. It was for the elites. I mean, come on. Man, I got a shit ton of stuff that's making sense. Oh, Tom Brady, stupid. Again, you do so much, and I get so busy, and I'm on the front lines. I'm delivering, and I'm out on the front lines delivering food. I mean, this is nuts. It's getting worse. People are, can you put the bags down outside here, please? And then they come out with gloves to grab their bags or their packages, and then open the shit in gloves. This is just nonsense.
I was at King. I was at King Henry's house the other day, and he ordered a pizza. And the pizza delivery, they were standing like 15 feet back from the door with the pizza on the doorstep, and they were saying that's their policy right now. So.
No, it's insane. I do the groceries with Amazon. The food has all but died, but everybody's just like, please leave it at the door. My tips have gone up because everyone's so grateful. Oh my God, you're out in the cold. And I have no fear. Because I know it's just the flu. And they talk about the PSYOP, and Rambo was starting to teach us. And there's another site I found. I'm finding other sites. There's a guy called the Florida Maquis. He's got good stuff on Ebola. He was doing Ebola before any of this, just to do Ebola, like how scary Ebola is, you know. We've got viruses that if you get it, dude, you're done. You might as well go eat your last meal. Like the Marburg virus, that takes you out, not 10% survival. And everybody's just like, again, because we got half a country that has no idea about AIDS. I mean, I was getting pussy in 81, and AIDS made us nervous to get pussy. And I wasn't gay. I was just, give me some pussy, you know? Come on. AIDS is, to this day, scary, man.
Yeah.
AIDS has killed like almost 1 million people. And there's very expensive big pharmas. The only way you can get your AIDS treatment. Anyway, that, as Larry Gators would say, that's a rabbit hole or a story for another day. But there's just so many fucking crazy things connecting. Oh, the Tom Brady. Okay, TB, right? There was just in the news. So you were saying that the only sport hanging on is football. Like, fuck hockey, fuck hoops, okay. Those numbers are huge, though. I finally realized why those guys, Jordan, LeBron, 2, 3 is obvious, but I'll repeat to the audience because you do it so much that they forget. But it's 2 times 3 is 6. If they can't get that number, they take 6. You know, but that's one of the main. That's what I'm seeing more and more, Zach. And you know this is, and confirm this for me. They love the simplest numerology, don't they? They got the master number of 11. 11 times anything is good for them. 77, 33, all of those. I don't know. They don't seem to use 55 that much. But obviously 311 this year was a big deal again. Repeat, what was 311?
That's
311 was the WHO. You connected that to 9/11 based on the 222 months, was it?
Well, yeah, it was 222 months from 9/11 to March 11, 2020, the day they declared a global pandemic.
And then what was, I meant to look this up, because when you said that, I'm like, wait a minute. A few years ago, after one of the terrorist days was on a 3/11. It was either a train bombing in Europe, or there was a pretty big type of global terrorism event more recently in this, I would say, this last wave of what at one point you could just YouTube up hoax and you'd get the kind of the spin versions. There was a 3/11. There was also a big 7/11. So yeah, that just confirms more how much they love the 11. But it's just the basic 2-3 for like the basketball players. That's just simply 2 times 3 is 6, I guess. They love that. It's not 2 plus 3 because in numerology, 23. You know, they love 21 a lot. I'm seeing 21 a lot, not just on my hotel, little motel, my budget inn the other night. It was like when you went down to New Orleans. You're like my fucking room number. What was it?
Well, it was weird because it was before all this shit happened. I was in room 201, and then some guy started blowing me up about I need to call him about event 201. I was like, why am I in hotel room number 201 and this guy's calling me and texting me nonstop that I need to contact him about event 201? Does he know what hotel room I'm in right now? But, so.
It's fucking wild, man.
Yeah, it was weird.
Well, let me finish the Tom Brady real quick. So this is cycle, and you probably picked it up. So out of nowhere, and you know this because you connect contracts to dates. Like, when a football guy gets his new contract, you got the numbers on it. So you can do the Brady thing after. If you haven't done this, I'll tell you what I saw that freaked me out. T is 20, right?
Right.
T reduces 20. So, and B is 2. So if you reduce TB, Tom Brady, and his initials are, like you said, Crimson Contagion, you right away said is 33. You saw that right away. But TB is 22. Well, Tampa Bay initials are TB. That's 22. So then I saw somehow, like his agents, they right away trademarked, fuck off. Oh, I just annoyed someone in lockdown, and you know how loud I am. So he came out of his door to say, shut your fucking mouth, you're too loud. Fuck off! So sick of this society. I'm getting ready to throw down. I'm going to come out and join you and King Henry. We're going to start throwing down. Okay. All this, sit back and do your popcorn. Fuck you. Hey, you're too loud in my neighborhood. I'm on lockdown. You're too loud. Oh, yeah? Call the police, you prick. I'm solving some fucking bigger problems than violating your noise, you asshole. Okay, so TV, so they trademarked, and what date was it now? What date did he get his contract? Because it was all about TV comes to TV, 22 times 22, and we're trademarking it. Tom Brady and Tampa Bay. And then they tweeted, his agent's they trademarked that. And then, just yesterday, I think, the guy gave him number 12. And 12 doesn't seem like such an Illuminati number, but it is.
Well, you gotta remember,
the simplest form.
Yeah, Tom equals 12, Illuminati's 120, the football field's 120 yards long if you count the end zones. It's just like how they gave that they gave that numerology lesson on Sunday Night Football 2 seasons ago about 12 when it was Aaron Rodgers versus Tom Brady because they both wear the number 12, and I was like, oh, this is an easy one. Tom equals 12, Aaron doesn't. And sure enough, Tom Brady won. So.
Yeah, and then he gets 12 from the receiver, gives it to him. Hey, why are you so loud out here? We're in lockdown. So when Dylan, I thought it was so weird, Bob Dylan and JFK, again, this is the deep state. You can see a clip of Bob Dylan on like 60 Minutes from years ago, where the one, who's the one black dude interviewing? I forget his name. Really cool dude. He used to do 60 Minutes.
Ed Bradley? Ed Bradley?
Ed Bradley, right?
Yeah.
So Ed Bradley interviewing Dylan, and he basically says, well, I sold out, man. I sold out, he says, right?
Right.
Well, everyone's like 17 minutes on. To me, that was a big signal, like Q again, mocking the Q gang. Because the Q gang thinks JFK faked his death and is going to be the next savior here. Might even run with Trump in the next election or something. I don't know.
Right.
But look at that number. The song wasn't 17 minutes, and if you add up the 16 minutes and change there, like 50-some seconds, I added that up, and it actually equaled 19. So 17 equals Q, but the number, the actual 16 minutes, 50-some seconds equals 19. And we know 19 is, again, a big number. It's with the 91 and 19 and that shit. So that was pretty wild when I saw that in the song. Then I was also watching a Netflix trailer on Bill Gates where it's like 2 minutes and 22 seconds. Again, like you say, Zach, not by coincidence. And the guy's kind of interviewing, what's your favorite food? He says hamburger. What do you eat for breakfast? Nothing. And I'm thinking, well, that's weird. Most people I know that have half a fucking brain say breakfast is the most important fucking meal. But if you're satanic, maybe you don't like breakfast. And if you're such a fucking global warming freak, Bill Gates, and vaccines are going to save the world, why do you love hamburger? Isn't meat like a big problem in the whole like vegan, isn't meat taking down the world according to AOC? And don't get me wrong, but I love a steak. I'm not a fucking big meat eater. I'm like a weekly meat eater. In fact, I recently came up with a plan last few years. I do weekly meat. 1 week it's beef, the next week it's chicken, the next week it's fish. I gave up on pork, not because of the Wuhan virus, by the way. You know. But I don't know. I'm just finding more and more. We need a big business card. Or, you know how you go to the hotels, Zach, and you can get that that rack that says, they have them in Seattle, whether you go on the whale watching or the bike riding. There's, 20 companies that have made a big brochure, not a big brochure, a big business card or a mini brochure. I call them half slick. I don't know what it is. I guess it's probably half a sheet of paper, 8.5 and 11 cut in half. Whether it's a whale watching cruise, you know what I mean. I used to live in Maui, so I know all about those. I've always lived in resort towns, so I know all about them. We need one of those, like not overly packed, really clean, nice packed with, that's a real starter. While we got all these people that are going, yeah, something's not right. Boom, there you go. Just check this out. Call me if you have any questions. And then for people that need a little more, we just need like a 5-page Cliff Notes. And that's a great idea. If you just do a 911 Corona connector, it doesn't even, I think you could get it, if you get that down to like a power pack 25 pages, that's it. And then we just go town to town.
Well, I talked to the bindery place there, and they said if a book is smaller than 150 pages, which means 75 sheets of paper back to back, they can't bind it because it's too small to bind like a book. But I mean, you could put it in a paper pamphlet.
Your book is awesome. I mean, your book is awesome, but it's too much to get all these people.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think I'm going to make the book 150 pages, which is 75 sheets of paper, because they said that's the minimum to bind it like a book, so it looks like a book. I hear what you're saying, though. I mean, you could make like a 25-page pamphlet. I mean, you can get
have an electronic version, so you meet someone on the street and bam, you can just make it small enough where or you just do that. I mean,
I could make it so it's.
I got an ebook version.
I could make it big print too, so it's not so much information, but it's just a nice, easy read, and you can hold it in your hand.
Those are details to work out, but those are like the 3 things we need for the street cred. Just a quick wake-up sheet for a really. Wow, yeah, that sounds cool. Okay, but I don't know shit because we got like 3 levels now. What's really I'm noticing is driving me nuts is my brother. He gets it, but I can hear the TV on in the background, and I'm kind of hoarse right now because the only person left listening to me is my one brother. We're Irish twins. For 2 months we're the same age because my parents were Catholics that didn't believe in condoms. So like idiots, right after they had my bro, before mom could even recover, she had me. And why they had more children after they had 2 little babies and watching them blow John Kennedy's head off, I don't know. But my parents are pretty cool, but kind of dumb. They're immigrants that were curious about America, but had no idea they were setting foot on this sick satanic cult, And it's really sad because it's so corrupted. And what it's really sad is that Trump is such an asshole. He's so good at what he does. He's so well trained. He either hangs in the middle and plays dumb. He speaks at an 8th grade level. He doesn't really outright lie. He just spins the truth.
8th grade?
It's like that
8th
other
grade?
asshole.
Dude, he speaks like he's a 3rd grader. It's going to be really great. It's going to be really good. It's going to be really big. It's going to be so big and good. And it's going to be so great. I mean, that's like every time he talks, it's like, God, this is like...
It's embarrassing.
It is embarrassing. It's fucking embarrassing, man. It's just so fucking... And he's just this orange fucking creature with this stupid fucking haircut. Now they got the same fucking haircut in the UK. Dude, it's maddening, man. Hey, brother, I appreciate the call. Hey, I got it. I'm starving. I have not eaten anything since when I first got up. I had a Mandarin. So, anyway, man, yeah.
Wait. I've been sitting here in the dark, and then that guy screwed me up because I had my light on, and he came out. But I had some great notes, and before I hang up, because it's so hard to get through to you. Fuck. Oh, so I was going on COVID because I saw it. I'm putting the chat. Anyway, so what was the acronym? I was like, huh? And now I couldn't confirm it in law enforcement, but COV was interesting because in an acronym like the slang dictionary or this whole next generation, and I know I'm a boomer, sorry millennials, I yell at you, and your next generation's even nuts, go lick toilets, I guess that's how you want to roll. But COVE, I saw an acronym for crimes of violence, Zach. Do the gematria real quick on crimes of violence. That was creepy, because then it was like crimes of violence, like, anyway, I came up with some weird number there, and that opened up another thing, which was bizarre. Like, this COVE is kind of an acronym when you see it like COVE-19. Because they're doing it so many different ways, It's either coronavirus or it's SARS number 2. There's that. There's 10 ways you can kind of refer to coronavirus. But when the phone started adding the 19, and we know 19 is chaos for a true gematrinator, So it's like they really want that 19 emphasized, which is also 91 in reflection. And, 41's popping up and 14 and Kobe and reflection, and it just goes on and on.
It does go on and on.
That's when I can send you stuff where I'll know you get it, so I don't have to think, my crazy mind thinks, Zach's blowing me off, so now I'm going to tell him to fuck off and cancel my Patreon.
Yeah, I don't ignore anybody, man. It's just, life is busy. That's how it is.
What I'll do is I'll start compiling notes that are good for you guys that are really good at this. And that other thing that popped up, because my mom's birthday was March 19th, and I think I mentioned it to you. It's got, Rambo would know more about it. But the solstice came in the earliest in 124 years, which is also part of this, obviously, 19-year moon cycles and solstices, and the rest. You know what I mean. So that was, I think, a nugget that all this was going down. And the 2 coding is huge. The 222 and the 222s. I remember when it was Happy New Year, Mom, and I remember right then at New Year's going, yeah, February is going to be really cool. With the 2020, I had no idea about Year of the Rat, but I was like, man, you can have parties on like 2020, which will be a 222 party. Everyone brings $20 or $20 worth of food or $20 worth of beer. And then you can have the same party on the 20th. Because then it'll be the 2020 party. And then you saw the Gates thing. You've been talking about this 2020 ID. And then that made me think about the goddamn TV show 2020. I mean, that's probably, I don't know, I'm just guessing, that's probably on the 20th anniversary right now of the hit TV show 2020.
John
which
Stossel.
Is propaganda, brainwashing, and bullshit.
Yeah, it sure was, man. I hate John Stossel.
All right, I'll let you get some more mandarins, and hopefully something more entertaining than that, because you do have a sweet lady there like I don't. But anyway, God bless you. I told one girl, man, what do you mean? We aren't social distancing you. My mouth's going to suck that virus right out of you, girl.
All right, man. Have a good night.
I'm a old perv, I know.
All right, take care, man.
Bye.
All right, Chicago. You called in a bunch. I'm going to give you one last call, and then I got to go. What's up, Chicago?
Hey, awesome, man. I know you got to eat, Zach. Appreciate you. So everyone, I put a post. My name is Toke. I'm in LA. I'm a filmmaker. I put a post on Free to Find Truth. I have 2 film ideas that I'm looking to work with someone who's better at coding than me. I've only started doing this since Kobe died. That's how I got turned on to you, Zach. So if anyone sees my post, my name is Toke, Tokf. I'm from LA. I have 2 film ideas that I'm looking to work with someone who's much better coding than me to start creating awareness. I'm going to pay for these films. One I'm going to pay for because it's going to be a short film. The other one's going to be a feature. Don't know how that'll be paid for, but they'll get paid for it. But the short film I'm definitely going to pay for. I already have a film on Amazon right now called Induced Effect, if you guys want to watch that. And then I have a psychological thriller that I made, I wrote, I directed, and I funded myself. That's coming out soon. Coming out, I think, 144 days after my birthday on 8/24 called Invite Only. And then also on that post, I want to start a Gematria type game show, almost like a Jeopardy, but based around Gematria, to help to wake up the people. So everything isn't going to be about, everything's going to be light, it's going to be funny, it's going to be filled with comedy is my idea. But every now and then, you throw a little leaven in the bread, like Jesus said. A code adds up to 9/11, or a code adds up to coronavirus, just to start planting in people's subconscious so maybe they can then at least be woken up and do the searching for themselves, just like the Matrix, planted things in people's subconscious, but the Matrix didn't take anybody anywhere because it's like, oh, we live in a Matrix, but what can I fucking do?
It's funny. Sorry to interrupt, man, because I really like your ideas, and I've been thinking about making a game like this for a while, too, because it could just be like the question could be like, what team won the Super Bowl on February 5th? Or it could be more like this. What NFL team has a Gematria name of 25 and gave up a 25-point lead on February 5th to lose in a Super Bowl? Something like that.
Exact. Something like that. And then people are just like, whoa, that's weird.
Because there's like a million of those. I mean, you could just go through my blog and make the game show, because you could just go through a million different posts and be like, oh, here's a good one that would make a great question like that. So, yeah. What player had a nickname? Yeah, man. So I've been thinking about doing the same thing like this, and I know Kathy, if she's still out there, she told me like more than a year ago I need to make a board game or some sort of game to get people into this. So, yeah, I see your post. I got it on the screen.
Definitely.
And just a reminder to people, this is why you guys got to join freetofindtruth.com, because there's people like Tokes here putting up good ideas, and we got a community, and, people start putting their minds together and making things happen. It's going to happen, so...
Definitely. And one easy thing about the game, it could be a board game, but then also, we could do like I said, a Jeopardy style game where that's something that could go on Instagram or Snapchat or any of the social platforms. It can be short, quick bites. And now these are things that can be shareable. We can disseminate the information quickly, and it can get out to other people, faster, and it's there for a long period of time, and they can go find it, and even the younger kids can go find it too.
Yep. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, man. So I'm glad this is the final call of the night, and yeah, man. I'm happy to help participate in this project, because I've been doing the same thing for 7 years now pretty much, and obviously I haven't gotten as far as I wanted to, but it's not like it's been all bad, because people like you found the work and now you got ideas, but we got to make all these things happen now, because the time is now, and again, I really like it, man. So it's funny. I come to your post. You posted this 11 hours and 11 minutes ago, and that's just organic right there. The master idea right there. So.
Yeah, you know what's crazy? My life path number is 11, and today's my birthday.
Well, happy birthday, man. See, it was just all meant to be. Master idea right there.
All meant to be.
Yeah, 11. It says it right there, 11 hours and 11 minutes ago, man.
Yeah, so please, anyone who wants to be a part of this, help me with that. Because I know Zach's really busy making these posts for us, making a lot of these videos. Let's do our thing. Outside of Zach leading everything, we really got to do our thing on our side, outside of Zach, to help Zach as well. We can't just. I'm reading the chat. People are like, oh, Zach's videos are the highlight of my day. That's great. But now it's like, what are we doing to help the effort? What are we doing to help Zach? I'm a Patreon subscriber. That's great. That's one level. Cool. But now we have to actually actively get involved and do things on our own outside of Zach to help Zach. So anyone who wants to be a part of this, the game idea, anyone who wants to help me with coding for the film, please. I have some really 2 solid ideas, almost kind of like a Matrix type vibes, to just really start planting the seeds for people, because Zach's doing a great job. We need to do our part.
Awesome, man. I'm looking forward to it. All right, appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Zach. Go eat, man. Have a great night, everyone. Have a great night, Zach.
All right, will do, man. Take care. Yep. I like both the ideas. I like the movie. I like the game. I've been thinking about making a game just like that for a long time. You get a card. There could be categories on there. You land on a certain color of the board, it's a sports question. You land on another color, it's a history question. There's games like that already, right? But it's the Gematria version. So, and you can make all sorts of different games. Make it fun for kids to learn. And you guys, the mission's still on, man. If you guys can support, if you can get, the book, if you can pledge on the Patreon, we're trying to build up the revenue. Imagine if we had, I'm going to tell you guys one more thing before I get off. You know how the deadline was Friday for me to get the building? Well, that woman called me up yesterday and she said, Zach, honestly, I set the deadline because I was trying to make you put your feet to the fire. She said, I only have one offer in, and they're trying to lowball me, and I don't really want to take it, and they don't want to carry on my business. And she said, so she gave me a bargain. She was trying to sell everything for $150,000. Now she's willing to do it for $95,000. And again, I got to talk to the landlord because I kind of want to own the building rather than rent it, because I just realized that if I'm renting from somebody, you know, like somebody could pressure him because they hate us and say, hey, get them out of there, you know, kick them out for this reason. So if we own the building, that couldn't happen to us. But again, you guys, if you guys can, I know it's probably a bad time for a lot of people because people are out of work and stuff, but if you can still pony up $1 a month, again, if this whole community ponied up $1 a month, we can make it happen. I'm going to talk to the landlord and see if he's willing to sell the building, because I actually talked to her yesterday, and I said, man, I really appreciate that. And I said, the thing is, I really want to own. And she said, well, I'll tell you what. I know he told you he wouldn't sell the building to you, but 3 years ago, he actually offered for me to buy the building. And I said, what was the price he offered you? And she said, $255,000. And that actually surprised me. I was like, wow, he's willing to sell that whole building for $255,000? So I'm gonna talk to him again and see if he's still willing to sell the building. And if he was willing to sell that 3 years ago, the market hasn't really changed much in the last 3 years around here. It's about the same. Might be a little bit up, but now with things being on the cusp of collapse. Anyway, if we could get that big ass building for $255,000 and own it, man, I'm telling you, again, that thing has all the office space. It has a restaurant. It has a full kitchen. It has a huge basement. You could do so many things with that building. I mean, you could have an awesome headquarters there. You could just do so many things with that building. And imagine if we had an office of people. That guy who just called in right now, imagine if he's an employee there. You know, we're working on building a board game together. We're making games together. Because that's just how it is. If you had a building full of people who were dedicated to this, you'd bounce ideas off each other. You know, that's how synergy happens. You got a bunch of people working for the same things. You know, so again, you guys, the mission's still on. Nothing's changed. And as it turns out, the building's still available to us. I got to get back to her. I said, really, I want to own just for that reason. But she told me that 3 years ago he was willing to sell it. So I'll call him up tomorrow. But at the same time, I mean, you know, if I buy a big building, I want to have revenue so that we can fill it up with people. I don't just want to have a big building and be able to afford one employee a month. I mean, whoop-de-doo. Me and one other person in a building with 7,000 square feet. I mean, talk about overkill. So again, if I can get you guys to hear that message, 3 pennies a day, that's what $1 a month is, 3 pennies a day. Is this cause worth 3 pennies a day to you? Can you come up with 3 pennies a day? So if it's not, I guess it's just too bad. It's too bad, but we'll leave it there, everybody. I got to eat something. Appreciate everyone, and until next time.